Stevenson didn't start, but he did run for 89 yards and a touchdown for the Patriots. But they also had a TD catch by Jalen Polk overturned on replay with 1:08 left that would have put them ahead. Alex Ingold's 3-yard TD run with just over 4 minutes to go was the difference for the Dolphins. Patriots are now 1-4. Jacoby Brissett's team also committed a dozen penalties in this game.
It honestly just nothing was good. You know what I mean? With penalties taking us backwards. We just got to play better.
Their next game is Sunday in Foxborough against Houston. The Texans got a 59-yard field goal from Kaimi Fairbairn with no time left. They beat Buffalo yesterday 23-20. They are now 4-1. Bert Breer reported yesterday Drake May has made strides in the last few weeks, and November is certainly very much on the table for him to become this team's starting quarterback. The Bruins open up their regular season tomorrow night on the road against the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Yesterday, they finally got their deal done with Jeremy Swayman. It's an 8-year, $66 million contract for the 25-year-old goaltender. The Celtics swept their 2-game exhibition series with Denver and Abu Dhabi yesterday, care of a 130-104 win. Jaylen Brown scored 21 points. The Green flew back to the U.S. overnight. They continue their 5-game preseason schedule Saturday night at TD Garden against Philadelphia. And at the baseball playoffs, San Diego and the Dodgers are now tied at a game apiece in their best of 5 after a 10-2 Padres win in L.A. last night. Earlier, Philadelphia blew a 6-4 lead in the top of the 9th and then got a walk-off single from Nick Castellanos in the bottom of the inning for a 7-6 win over the Mets. That series is also even at a game apiece. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. Injured and can't work? Turn to Catches Law, the official law firm of the New England Patriots, to tackle your needs. With local attorneys who live and serve here in New England, let Catches fight for you. Go to catcheslaw.com to book your free consultation. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app. The 98.5 The Sports Hub app.
Fred, hello. Hello. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Somebody about with a football.
98.5. The Hub.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
Cocaine and hookers. Yes. Na.
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah. Welcome to the show, you sweet bitch.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. Down Fair Tire Studios, 617-779-0985. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. And then subscribe. Oh, you got to subscribe. Or it's all just pointless, and then we're just hurling into to nothingness unless you subscribe. And we've talked about this before, and we'll get into the Patriots. Don't you worry. I know you're all chomping at the bit to get in on that. Why are they bad? Why is Alex Van Pelt not a good offensive coordinator? All of these things. But I'll tell you this, I found what I'm good at in this world, and something that you asked me, Hardy, the other day, and I've been thinking about it. You asked John and I, you said, is there something that you are good at, like something that...
that you could pass on to your kids.
That you could pass on to your kids. Right. Yeah, that's not kind of how I understood that you said, but yeah, something that you could pass on to your kids, or just... I took it as more of something that you have a skill, a talent.
Yeah.
Right.
Not like as an old man, you'll still be able to do that.
Right, exactly. And I have found mine.
Oh,
And it is the cold plunge.
come on. That's not a skill.
Oh, is it not?
No.
Do you sit in the cold plunge while other men come in and have to leave immediately because they can't handle it? Do other men comment on how tough you are for being able to sit there in the cold plunge? I don't think so. My body and mind is so strong that when I go into the cold plunge, I could sit in there for a day. It doesn't matter. Everyone else, they get in. One guy came in with a towel on. He was so nervous.
The ability to avoid discomfort is not a skill.
Sure, it is. It's the ability to get in such a headspace that you are impervious to pain. It's probably the greatest skill you could ever have.
No. Not in the spirit of the question. And also, you have numbed yourself in so many ways to, feelings and situations to the point where I feel you have an unfair advantage. You're very calloused at this point.
You could say that when it comes to chemicals, but I never did drugs, and I never had like an opiate or painkiller addiction.
Yeah, but you've had this cacophony of other pharmaceuticals coursing through your veins for decades.
No, I had thought of that. But by prescription, I had thought of that.
Well, so yes.
Perhaps the gabapentin had something to do with it. But then I thought, no. Because if that was the case, then 75% of the people would be able to be in the cold plunge.
All right, where are you?
I'd say 50 to 60, 70% of people take something.
Okay, so let's just, for the sake of this discussion, agree that it is a skill that you have acquired. The ability to withstand and endure the cold plunge.
Not so much of a skill as it is a superpower.
Okay, all right. Let's say that this is something you have acquired. What are you doing with the cold plunge? Why are you doing this?
I don't know. Why do people climb Everest?
So this is just for fun?
No, God has directed me, obviously, in a way to start cold plunging and to stay in there for 6 minutes.
Where are you cold plunging? Are you going over to YouTubers, friends of yours' homes where they have constructed their own cold plunge tubs?
No, but
are you doing videos?
No, but the more I haven't. I've only done it like 3 times. But
how many
2 or 3
videos
times.
have you done?
Oh, a lot.
Because it doesn't count unless you put it on tape.
I took my son to the gym yesterday because I didn't have time to take him to the Y because he had something else to do. And I walked over to where he was in the gym. It's a big gym. And I walked over to where he was in the gym, and he had his phone propped up on something, filming himself. And I guess everyone under the age of 25, some people over, tape themselves at the gym.
some a few years older.
Some a few years older.
Than 25, right.
And again, I understand. I know this is kind of changing the subject a little bit, but I understand that if you're like super jacked, male or female, or super hot, like in like workout-y hot, and you're a girl, or if you're a guy and you're super muscular, that's you can make money doing that. That I get. But if you're just some normal, like, thin person, then I don't know really what you're doing.
All right.
But so anyway, I don't know. I was told that you get this huge dopamine rush. In fact, one of the guys that couldn't stand the cold plunge told me that, this is going to regulate your nervous system. But everything I read about it from, like Harvard journals and stuff, like, that's where I go now. I can't understand everything, but sometimes those Harvard journals, I actually can. They're not too inside baseball-y. Like, I can understand what they're saying. The only thing that I know for sure is that it can inhibit muscle growth. That if you lift weights and then you go in there, it constricts your blood vessels, and that disrupts flow into your muscles. So now it can alleviate pain. That's why in North Dallas 40, Nolte goes into the ice tub.
Oh, yeah.
With the cigarette and the beer.
Forgotten about that.
And, but I think that's only, out of everything I've read, I think that's the only thing they're sure of, is that it can decrease pain. And I'm not in really any pain. I feel no pain because of all the pharmaceutical. And so So I don't really know. But I heard that you get this huge dopamine rush. Like you're supposed to get this huge dopamine rush. But in the 3 times I've done it, I've never. And I did it for 6.5 minutes. I could have stayed in for as long as I wanted to, but I did it for 6.5 minutes because I was getting bored because I took my headphones out and they didn't work anymore. And so I got out and I didn't get anything. I didn't feel anything. And in all seriousness, it is a little disconcerting that everyone else is getting this giant thrill out of it and I'm not getting anything.
Okay, so are you having pain alleviated?
I told you I don't have any pain.
So what are you doing it for?
To get the dopamine rush.
But you've tried it a couple of times now.
Yeah, but you don't
and it
try
doesn't
something
work.
one time, and then if you smoked pot one time, you wouldn't get high. But if you smoked it 15 times, you might really like it.
So that's what we're going to do?
This is not how everyone else's brain and body work. You say that the first time I smoked pot, I got high. The first time I did...
No. That's uncommon, Hardy. That really is uncommon. Getting high the first time you smoke pot?
Yeah.
That's not common. It's far more common. Well, don't ask John.
Well, okay. All right, somebody...
He's the one guy on the planet who's never smoked pot.
Somebody who's willing to admit they actually smoked marijuana on the show today. 12, Beaton,
Well, I know Nick
Gemelli,
has smoked weed because
anybody?
he went to Colorado to do mushrooms for his bachelor party.
12, you ever smoke a devil's cigarette?
I have not smoked marijuana, but I have smoked hashish.
Oh, it's the same. Well,
Is it the same thing? I was told it's different.
Did
no,
you get-
hashish is harder. Did you get high when you smoked the hashish?
I smoked hash on Halloween in Amsterdam, and I guess I got high because I then spent the rest of the evening walking up to strangers on the street asking them why they didn't have costumes on because it was Halloween and why aren't you wearing a costume?
Yes, you were high.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if he was high. First of all, it's hash, so it's different. It's way more potent. And second of all, I don't know. I think he'd know if he was high. Like it wouldn't just be like.
I mean, I think I was. Like I certainly felt like different, and even though I'm a bit of a goofball, I don't know that I would have been doing that.
Yeah, but you would know if you were high. Like it wouldn't just be like you would be doing.
Well, then I can
different
tell
things.
you I was. I can say that it certainly altered my my experience.
How much did you smoke?
Oh, I don't know. It was like 25-something years ago.
Like
No, but did you take like multiple hits?
yeah, probably. We
All
went to
right,
one
then
of
you
those-
weren't even that high.
Yeah.
All right, not enough that you were like flipping out or something.
No.
Nicholas, get on the microphone. Nicholas has smoked weed. Imagine this: a place where no one really has smoked weed. This is statistically almost impossible.
Did you get high the first time you smoked pot?
No.
See, and do most people get high the first time they smoke pot?
No, because it's usually not pot.
Well, all right, Nick. You were going good there, and then you
No,
turned, then you
it's
took
a
a, then
good
you took
point.
a left
They're
turn.
smoking oregano or tea leaves.
Yeah.
It's usually not pot.
It's usually not pot.
Good
Beaten.
point, Nicholas.
You smoke a marijuana pot dope ever in your life?
Yeah, for sure. I went to college in Amherst.
Okay, good. All right, so
Okay.
Ryan, did you get high the first time you smoked weed?
Yeah, probably very high. Like you're like feeling your chest beat out of
There you go.
your
Oh, that-
heartbeat out of your chest.
Okay, well, that was angel dust. You got wet, dog.
Yeah,
PCP, germ.
I've smoked PCP by accident. It's a lot
Butt
of
naked.
fun. It's no fun at all. It's a real nightmare.
I didn't know you like to get wet, dog. PCP.
Yeah, you
germ.
like to get wet. You're going to have to get this wet if you want to get wet. Young man, you're going to treat me like a lady. Jazz Wallach, you act like a lady on that thing. This is Jazz Wallach. You want to get wet? Come on, man. This is Jazz Wallach. I play the clarinet and I shoot H. I ride that white horse. Now open up them lips. If you won't get wet, you won't give Jazz Wallach pleasure. Now get over here, man. You won't be a lady tonight.
Well, I don't know, sir. I'm not a lady.
Shut up. Shut up and make that mouth look like a lady.
I don't know how to make
Put
my...
this Kool-Aid on your lips.
Oh.
And give Jazz Wallach pleasure. Jazz Wallach need that pleasure.
Here's
cool. It's a 15th anniversary. and I'm being cool.
Kick back in my chair. I'm gonna tell you a story about the early days.
The early days. Man, before everyone started dying of age. Man, you know I got hepatitis. You're gonna get that too on account of you acting like a lady. I don't know who this is because it's very hard. George, go ahead.
Hey, Fred. So that's totally not true. You do get high the first time you smoke weed. I smoked weed the first time, and it was on the Thanksgiving break, and I took a few hits. It wasn't anything crazy, but I kept going. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to get dressed. I was telling all my buddies, and I'm like, what if I can't get dressed in the morning? And then, I'm not even kidding you. So then the next morning, it was Thanksgiving. We had the family dinner, and I was laughing because I was looking at the turkey on the table, and it was like talking to me.
That's from weed?
Yeah, yep.
You had an auditory and visual hallucination due to smoking weed.
Well, I don't know if it was. The turkey wasn't like. It was kind of talking. It wasn't like it was dancing on the table or something.
No, but you were hearing the turkey talk.
Yeah. It was like, hey, where's my head? It was just
That's an auditory hallucination. It's almost like you've lost your mind.
I would,
I
would say that's something beyond high, sir.
Yeah, that's because even if you told me that you had taken mushrooms or you'd done acid and the turkey was talking to you, I'd go, huh? You reached a whole new level, George. I think that you're privy to a dimension none of us are.
Well, because I was not like that's the thing is I kind of was on the straight and narrow. And and I had some buddies that were, they were like they had their own band. They were like the grunge band, and they smoked a lot. And I said, well, all right, I'll just try it just once,
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, we'll smoke you up. And we went in my basement, and it was like I was just smoking out of a bowl.
Yeah, I get it, George. Yeah.
All right.
Why does George sound exactly like Drunk Crash?
I don't know, but if he had me believing him until it was he started seeing the turkey talk.
All right, so Fred, 1 point.
Make $1 billion selling that weed.
1 point and then one more question, okay?
Yeah.
To show that I am, if nothing else, fair. Firm but fair. According to Refinery 29, beginners don't necessarily feel high. Some experts think there's a sensitization period because THC can cause your brain to increase its amount of cannabinoid receptors. You'll have to wait for your body to create enough receptors in order to feel high, which might take a couple of tries. Okay? So that is to your point. But here is my secondary question to bring it home. You say you'll be able to cold plunge as a life skill. This is something like me throwing a Frisbee, which I'm convinced I'll be able to do well, for decades in the future.
Yeah, it's like the superior talent.
Yeah, Wallach, you said yours was, I don't know, dissecting a box score. I don't know what it was.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Terrible. Whatever
war.
it was.
I'm passing on.
He doesn't know how to do war, which is what's sad.
War.
Yeah. Okay.
He's pretending he does, but he doesn't. Go ahead.
What makes you think you'll be able to do this well into your life? What if, Fred, at some point you eliminate this horn of plenty given to you from Merck and Glaxo Wellcome and Pfizer, and that is ejected and cleansed from your system? What makes you think you will still be able to cold plunge and withstand the horrors of that ice bath well into your life? You've done it 3 times. What gives you such confidence?
The turkey, it told me when after I smoked weed. It said to me, you'll be able to do this forever. And then everything became a cartoon.
I just find it very cavalier of you to cold plunge 3 times and then identify it as something you'll be able to do until
Well, it's like if you ran a
100%.
marathon the first time you ever ran a marathon, you'd probably go like, I could do it again. I mean, that's the way I'd put it to that's where I'd put it to a newbie.
6 minutes in cold water, yes.
That's
same as running 26.2
That's
miles.
why. That's how I would put it to a newbie.
Yeah.
Someone who's never done the plunge. someone who's never gone all in, you know, someone who's never taken the chance.
Man, this is gonna be a cold plunge.
You're gonna push that plunger down and then you're gonna feel real warm.
Yeah, that's right. You ain't gonna feel nothing. You gonna feel me. Come on, Jack.
No.
I mean, Jill. Put this mop on your head.
That's so stupid.
Why is this? Yeah, it's real dumb. You want to feel something, you gonna get wet. You gonna get high. Yeah, real stupid, Jet. How about I punch your teeth out? Because you know Daddy'll like that.
How long are we going to put off talking about this Patriots game?
I don't know.
Can we
You want to do 4 hours? 4 hours? I mean,
that-
this is what happens.
That day is coming. I'm all for Fred doing impressions for 4 hours.
Oh, thank you. It was. I would call it more entertaining.
Entertaining?
Yes, in a way.
I can't wait to hear this.
Than the games of last season.
I don't even think that's true.
In terms of like,
Wow.
wow, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it was fairly quick. Right? I think. It seemed
time
not
of game.
The game ended after 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, it ended after 4. I know that.
Yeah, well, the first half went quick.
Zoe was complaining on the broadcast.
I heard.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of the game, and then I went back and watched
You
it.
hear that time thing that he said?
Yeah, this is the kind of game that you just won. You just want the clock.
Yeah,
to
the
run,
refs put time back on the clock at the end of the first half, and Zolak, quick-witted, said this is a game no one should ever add any time to.
Yeah, at least
or something like that.
At least the stars shined yesterday. All right, we will start getting into that game. What was the time of game? The first half went fast. That I will say. And they called Marcus May's name.
I think you got to go into team stats.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. 3 hours. No.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Did you catch the game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, everybody. And what's going on, Hardy? There was a Patriots game yesterday.
Glorious day at Gillette Stadium. The sun was out, the stands were full-ish, and it was really a must-win situation for the Patriots. 1-3 on the season against a banged-up 1-3 Miami team, and it's time to make even just a small whimper of a statement on this season. Are you going to have a season? Are you going to play some football for your home fans against a division rival that is gettable? Well, the first thing you're going to do is bench Ramondre Stevenson because he hasn't been able to hold on to the ball, giving Antonio Gibson a chance.
A handoff to Gibson, running left, tries to turn it up. He stays on his feet off contact. Left sideline, 45-50. And he shoulders into a defender. Toppled over by Marcus May at the Miami 45.
So Gibson established himself early as a runner, but Ramondre Stevenson actually came into the game and had a decent game, I would say, going back to week one in terms of his productivity, 12 carries for 89 yards. So the running game somewhat working yesterday.
Over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And on how many carries? 19. And how many times they throw the ball? 34. And Van Pelt would stand up in front of you and he would go, well, what I guarantee you, I didn't even listen to it. I don't care what he has to say. But Van Pelt would probably stand up in front of you and go, oh, well, you know, they were showing they were in a set that, you know, was set up to stop the run, so we had to throw. No, you didn't.
No,
you didn't.
No.
Throwing didn't work.
Well, why didn't it work?
Miami shows blitz. Extra rushers coming, and Brissett has no chance. Took the snap, and down he goes. Sacked immediately by Zach Sealer. Second sack for Miami.
Oh, man.
And a 3-and-out for the Patriots.
Look, here's your boost. First series. Thought it'd be a little later. But, I mean, this is a right side cave-in. Michael Wenu, who's right guard, basically slides out, just lets a guy come right up the middle. He's got to be better than that.
Yeah, the change from right tackle to right guard, and in the offensive line coach, you know, we like him better at right guard. That's the position he's better suited for, and then that happens.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this, is that Brissett's not good, and maybe part of why he's so bad is you know, he's gun shy and he's been getting hit a lot. There's no question about it. But for whatever reason, Brissett's not a good quarterback. Why they don't have a veteran backup on this team to go to when games are going like this, I'll have no idea. But again, you didn't have to score a lot of points yesterday. The run was working. I don't know why you went away from it. Even if they're loading up to stop the run, just run into it. What difference is it to go 3-and-out throwing or go 3-and-out running? At least there's a chance that someone breaks something.
At least you're picking up 6 yards.
Yeah, and
on those 3 runs.
And you mentioned Gibson starting 6 carries, 52 yards. That's 8.7 a carry. He carried the ball 6 times. Go ahead.
The last drive, and I know we'll get to it, but it just, since we're on the subject now, it bears bringing up that the Patriots ran the football. They went right down the field with less than 3 or 4 minutes to go. You get the ball inside the Miami 20 and then pass the ball 4 times.
We'll get to it. But, you know, we're talking about their inability to throw. And we were talking with Bert about this when he was in here. Brissett got his head taken off on a 3-step drop the week before. Even when he has a little bit of time, because on these quick throws, they'll look at an empty set. And I heard Zoe say it a couple of times yesterday, look for something quick here, look for something quick. Even when he has a little bit of time.
Douglas sprints in motion to the near side. Brissett drops back short set, and he's in the pocket under pressure immediately. And down he goes. And that has been the story as Jacoby Brissett is dropped at the 33 on a sack by Ogba.
5-step drop. He gets a chance to look. And then he tucks up underneath. Like, 5-step drop, you're looking, ball's got to be coming out of your hand. It's got to be out.
On a 5-step drop, you should be able to have a couple of reads and then make a throw. And if you're not making a throw, then I don't know what help. Not that the offensive line is good, and not that the receivers are getting open on a consistent basis, but you got to get rid of the ball.
Shouldn't you base your offense on the fact that your offensive line can't block?
I don't know how much it was on the offensive line yesterday.
Well, Phil Perry's timing, how much time that Jacoby Brissett had to throw the football, and he wound up somewhere around 2.4, 2.3. Let's think about that. Is there really time for a 5-step drop when you have under 2.5 seconds to release the football?
No, but there's quarterbacks that get rid of the ball that fast. In fact, Rodgers, who sucks, but Rodgers has been getting rid of the ball under 2.5 on average. And I'm not saying he's good, but I'm saying that it can be done. You can run offense that does that, or you could not throw. You could not throw the ball 34 times. They weren't down 3 touchdowns. They were playing with a lead for a vast majority of that game, or at least a majority of that game. They were playing with a lead. I don't understand. Well, they were in sets to stop the run. Okay. Well, you can't pass. Yeah. So there's a puncher's chance, which they said a lot yesterday during the radio broadcast, so I'm sort of stealing it.
Because there are so many punts.
There's a puncher's chance that you can break something on a run.
But even if there was an illusion in the first half that they were running the football. They had 98 yards of offense in the first half. 33 of them came on one play.
I understand that, but you had 30. But I'm saying that it doesn't matter then. Yeah, well, you're still proving my point. You had no offense, and you were throwing the ball. You said there's this illusion they were running the ball. There's not an illusion they were running the ball. Ramondre Stevenson, there was 2 long runs, but that proves my point. The 2 longest plays were runs.
Well, how about this, Fred?
Or 2 of the 3 longest plays in Hunter Henry at the end of the game had a 25-yard catch. If you take that out, if you had 2, with no time left.
With no time left, let's throw the ball in the middle of the field.
And no timeouts, right.
Yeah.
But if you take that Hunter Henry catch out, the 2 longest plays were runs. So none of this is counter to my argument. The 2 long plays you had in that game that weren't the terrible play to end the game were runs. So it's not like you were explosive. Get out of here. I would have let me be the offensive coordinator. That I could do.
No, Alex Van Pelt was horrible yesterday.
Horrible.
Just like the offensive line was horrible. Just like the wide receivers for the most part are horrible.
I don't blame the offense. The offensive line sucks, but I don't even blame them for that.
It's not just that they can't block. It's the mistakes. I'm sorry, Hardy. I'm sure you have a litany of sound to get to, but just the constant terrible penalties on both sides of the ball. I mean, 12
that was going to be my point.
Awful.
So let's, we're just shotgunning everything here. Fred, you're absolutely right. You keep running the ball. You could abandon the passing game altogether. But when you keep making mistakes.
12 men on the field, defense, prior to the snap.
That's on a punt.
That was on 4th down.
Okay, that was on a punt.
I mean, they had 2 or 3 penalties on special teams that killed them. Sorry, we're shotgunning again.
Brutal, absolutely brutal mistake. The one thing you can't do, have 12 men on the field or get fooled on the fake.
Which the 12 men on the field, the personal fouls, we're going to get to when we get to the final drive, another horrific mistake. It doesn't matter if you're running the ball consistently, if you do have any type of success in the passing game, they're not learning from their mistakes, and they continue to make mistakes. You look at Gerard Mayo and the way he came out and started the season, you're like, oh, he's got these guys to buy in a little bit. You pick up that first win against the Bengals, and you're thinking, all right, he's got everybody on board and paying attention. I don't think they're paying attention anymore.
It's interesting. Chris Myers and Mark Sanchez said early on in the broadcast, I don't know if you saw this, Fred, that, we were at Friday's practice. It wasn't exactly crisp. It wasn't exactly, in and out and doing things fast.
I heard him say that.
Usually that's a precursor to bad play on Sunday. This is a good Sanchez. That's one of the things Sanchez got right yesterday. And you take a look, like, for instance, the block punt by Schooler in the first half. And the Patriots take 7 plays to go 8 yards and take about 4 minutes off the clock and kick a field goal. I mean, it just they can't get out of their own way. Nick Leverett, a holding call on 3rd and 15 to push him way back. You almost had to laugh watching this team. These are the teams that we used to make fun of 5 years ago.
Well, it's not like Miami's any better. And I'll tell you that they should have won this game. And I'll tell you this, is I know why they were good in the beginning of the season. I absolutely know why. Is because they had a training camp. that was set up to win the first 2 games. And everyone else had a training camp that was set up to be healthy in the playoffs. And that's exactly what happened. Is that in good for Mayo, because they came out and they won a game and they took Seattle to overtime. They took an average team to overtime. And good for them, but that's what happened. The reason they beat the Bengals is because the Bengals half-assed training camp. That T. Higgins was hurt. Jamar Chase didn't practice. They didn't play their offensive line. All those things, and the Patriots came out like in mid-season form, and that's why they won the game. But you know what they did that game to win? They ran the ball. Go ahead.
They did have the lead, as you mentioned, Fred. They had a chance to increase that lead before halftime.
Douglas in the slot right. It's a low snap. Brissett looks that way. He pumps back left, and then he tosses the ball to the back foot with a throwaway.
Look at the middle. You got 3 guys in a 5-yard area in the middle of the field, and they're all picking each other. How can you have 3 guys over the football, 20 yards downfield, all within 5 yards of each other? That's unacceptable.
And especially on a 3rd down and 5 play.
Yeah. It's remarkable.
But they went into the locker room up 7-3. So, believe it or not, after everything else, because the Dolphins kept making dumb mistakes.
The snap from Ferguson again. And there's a ground ball picked up by Bailey. Tries to put the ball down.
Come on.
The kicker picks it up, and he is tackled. It has been a comedy of errors thus far today, especially on special teams for the Dolphins. As the snap was rolled back into the hands of Jake Bailey, Sanders reached down the kicker and wound up in a pile.
If his team beats you today, it's an embarrassment. Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right, foreshadowing. If you don't know what happened, we'll talk about the second half next.
Did you see in the first half where they were in field goal range and then Huntley wasn't ready for the snap and the guy shot it right past him and it rolled all the way back to the 40 and took him out of field goal range? I mean, this is the team you lost to.
I'm starting to think Mike McDaniel's not that good at coach. Because all it took was them to lose Tua, and then every day in Hawk Tua. Every time I hear Tua now, I think Hawk Tua lady. Much to the consternation of my son, who does not like the Hawk Tua
He didn't
lady.
like Hawk Tua?
He does not like Hawk Tua, and he does not like Whitney Cummings.
You want to know what's crazy? Your son probably thinks Hawk Tua lady is old. He probably thinks of her as, like a grown woman.
Maybe, but there's something about her. He was like, who's this woman? Not Hawk Tua lady, but the Whitney Cummings.
On the podcast.
No. This is something else different, but she was on a podcast before the Hawk Tua podcast.
Yes.
And she was on with the comedian Whitney Cummings.
Yes.
And my son's like, who? I hate her. And I'm like, what? Who? And he's like, that woman. And I'm like, that's Whitney Cummings. She's a comedian. He's like, it's the first person I've ever heard him really despise. And I was like, you're a chip off the old block. I don't mind Whitney Cummings. But by the way, yeah, in that Seattle game, they ran 36 times through 27. And then I'm going to look real quick right here, and then we'll get back. We'll take a break and come back. But in the Bengals game, let's see what they did. They threw 24 times and ran 39. So there you go. The 2 games that they've been competitive in, they ran far more than they passed. And I don't know why they did it yesterday. And again, Alex Van Pelt will tell you that the defense was set up to stop the run. And to that, I would say, okay, you can't pass. So what difference does it make? Run into a brick wall. There's a puncher's chance you break one. There's no chance you're throwing downfield. There's none. You don't have a good quarterback. Your offensive line sucks. Your receivers suck. You're not throwing it. You have 2 backs that are capable, if things break right, to take 10 yards. That's your best bet. And then guess what? The clock runs, and everyone gets out of there. And the crowd doesn't leave early. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Zone headlines.
Patriots are now 1-4. They lost to Miami yesterday, 15-10 in Foxborough. Alex Ingold's short touchdown run put the Dolphins ahead to stay with 4 minutes left. Right now, the next opponent will be Houston at Gillette Stadium this Sunday. Houston is 4-1. Bruins finally signed restricted free agent goaltender Jeremy Swayman yesterday. It's an 8-year, $66 million contract. Bruins open up their season tomorrow night on the road against Florida. And the Celtics beat Denver in Abu Dhabi again yesterday, 103-104. Jalen, 130-104. Jalen Brown led the Green with 21 points in 23 minutes. The next preseason game for the Celtics Saturday night at the Garden against Philadelphia. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Rapid Flow Sewer and Drain Cleaning. This season, the last thing you want at your bar or restaurant is a sewer backup on game day. So call 800-286-FLOW or visit rapidflowinc.com. With Rapid Flow, one call solves it all. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. Dutcher and Hardy, the reviews are in.
I got to stay on talk about you. Give me about 5 minutes of my time.
What he said. Now more of on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Dutcher and Hardy. Mike, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Yes, the Patriots suck. No question about it. But so does the entire league. You know they only have 3 opponents left on the schedule that are over 500 through 5 games, and one of them is the Bears, so God knows where that's going to go. Like, this is what we are in for the next 12 weeks. Just absolute horse crap. Have a good morning, boys.
I don't know if anyone's going to be quite as bad as that Dolphins team.
No, I look at the schedule now. They may lose out.
Well,
there is that possibility they could lose out from here.
So you've got Texans next weekend.
Yep.
I would say anything can happen with the Jaguars.
I don't know. I saw Jacksonville move the ball pretty well yesterday.
Yeah, but they needed a field goal at the end to win it.
Jets, you probably lose. Titans, Bears. I would say that's a little bit more of anything can happen. You're going to lose to the Rams. I have no confidence you'd be able to go down to Miami.
They couldn't do that when they had Brady half the time.
Right.
I mean, they lose all sorts of ways there.
I mean, what you're telling me that it's going to be an absolute war of attrition between the Cardinals and the Bills? No, Cardinals and Bills are going to put up points on you, and you're not going to be able to put up any points.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Chicago. I saw Chicago move the ball pretty well yesterday too.
Yeah, so I would like to think it. Well, no, nobody wants to think you're going to have to sit through another game like that, but it's not going to be a 15-10, just 3+ hours of misery every week. No, other teams are going to go out there and I think make things even more embarrassing for you. Now, the one thing we really haven't talked about, though, is the defense, which, again, you're up 7-3 at the half. Pats added another field goal afterward. Miami kicked a couple of their own, but the defense seemed to be holding their own until this drive.
It's unsustainable to ask them to stop Miami. As bad as the Dolphins' offense has been all game, and the offense is going 3 and out.
This is where the defense gets ticked off.
Hill starts in motion from the left. They hand off to Ingold, and the fullback takes it in on his feet to the end zone, and the Dolphins take the lead.
Right down your throat. And they overcame a big penalty on a big play. It's an embarrassing drive right there.
Alec Ingold.
I like what you said. That's where you put it. Right down their throat. Jazz. What?
Patriots certainly had a chance to win it at the end. And it looked like maybe they had taken the lead.
Shotgun snap to Brissett. Dropping back, 4-man rush. Throw down the middle. Poke is open. Leaping catch. Back of the end zone. Touchdown, New England.
Tell you what, Jacoby Brissett just saved his job with that throw.
Did he?
Did he now? His job wasn't even in jeopardy anyway,
okay.
But yeah.
So I get stuff wrong all the time. We all do. In real time, I said, he's not in. Now, he was a lot closer to being in than I thought he was, but in real time, I said, no, he didn't get the back foot in.
Adrian Hill started toward the surface towel. Here's the referee.
After review, it is an incomplete pass. The second foot landed in the right.
So the apparent touchdown is wiped off the board. He came down clearly with 1 foot in. The left toe, the right toes came in. The right toes came in.
Did, but this is that new rule.
Yeah.
Remember? Even if you get the toe, Brandon Bolden did this in Atlanta. I'll never forget it.
Sideline, you can drag the toe, back of the end zone, the entire foot.
Huh? I didn't know that was a rule.
I didn't know that the end zone was any different, and he was just facing the wrong way is what you're telling me. If the toe's in and he's facing forward, it's a touchdown.
Correct. So 2 toes is not a touchdown anymore?
If you're going forward out, to the side of the end zone, 2 toes, yes. If you touch your toes and you're falling backwards or off to the side and the heel comes down out of bounds, you're out.
Has to be a deliberate toe tap, apparently, for it to count.
If he had tapped his toes, then lifted his foot and landed on his back, I think he would have been ruled in.
Okay.
Huh? Wait, so if your toes come down, but then your heels go down out of bounds, that's not a catch?
Correct.
If you're going backwards, yes. That's right.
In the
That's
end
the only
zone.
way it would happen.
Yes.
But yes.
Who came up with that rule, and how did they think of it? The minutia they must have been going through. My God, that must have been one bad bet that caused that rule. That's a weird. I didn't know that was a rule.
Yep.
Did anyone in this? Did anyone in this building know that was a rule?
Nope.
I mean, I think it occurred to Zoe like late, and then watching on the replay, everybody in the stadium thought it was horrific. Pereira came on the broadcast and explained it, and obviously the people in the stadium didn't hear that, so they were.
I wonder if Polk
obviously
knew that
put
was the
out.
rule.
Oh no! He said afterwards he thought he was in.
Yeah.
He said I got my right toe down.
Because in college it's 1, in the pros it's 2. That seemed like enough of making it more difficult at the pro level.
You should have to. It shouldn't matter what direction you catch the football.
I
in.
just remember the tight end from the Jets where they called it not a touchdown.
Yeah, it was bobbling in midair as he crossed the goal line.
It was bobbling it in midair.
Yeah,
a little back and forth with.
It came down with the ball.
With
It didn't hit the ground. He came inbound.
He didn't have control of the ball.
But
Fred.
they
That was
said when
clear.
it was in the air
Oh,
and he
yeah.
crossed the goal line, he didn't. It was juggling in his arm.
Yeah, it's an
Everyone knows that
imperceptible
rule.
movement.
It's
Yeah.
the dumbest thing. I don't even care. It was it was just so insane.
So Jalen Polk was asked about it after the game.
As a receiver, catch the ball, get your feet in. I feel like that's what I did. Or I don't really want too much comment on, the ref situation and how they decide on, how they make the call. But, yeah.
They're saying that your heel was out. That was the reason why they officially didn't call it 2 feet in.
I don't know. I can't speak for them.
Did you do anything different on that play than you practiced?
We went and executed the play the way we practiced all week.
He didn't know the rule. I don't know the rule. All right. Final play of the game. Tell me, by the way, Hunter Henry called for the false start on the 4th down, backed him up even more. They had another chance to win. We all know what happened on the final play of the game, where they gave Hunter Henry the field in front of the end zone, but came up well short. Time expires.
The snap is back to Brissett, dropping back, looking to throw. He steps to his right. He sets up. He fires down the middle for Henry. Makes the catch at the 10. They've got to hurry the run. There's only 3 seconds and 2 seconds left, and they're not going to have enough time to get another snap off. That's the game. Miami will win it by the 15-10 final.
This is the worst loss since Tom Brady left the Patriots. And there have been some bad ones. And maybe you start looking at tackles at the top of the draft next year, because that's where you head.
Well, yeah. I mean, we knew that.
Sure. We said that, during training camp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trade out of the first
Patriots
pick.
get a high pick, draft that kid from LSU, or drop down a few spots, gather some extra picks.
It's like 5 quarterbacks go in the top 10. You trade out of that sweet pick.
Just by virtue of it's the most recent. I mean, that's an interesting question. Is it the worst loss since Tom Brady left? I would have said it was, either the game in Germany last year or maybe one of the blowouts in weeks against the Saints and the Cowboys. But
I don't know. I keep thinking about that game in the rain where they got shut up at the Chargers yesterday. That was pretty bad.
About the Jets game? The last game of the season was awful.
Yeah.
It was unwatchable. I mean,
but
it's
there
a
was
dealer's choice.
There's nothing to play for at this point. There's very little to play for at this point, other than are we going to have any kind of a season?
Right.
And you need to beat that team yesterday to have any kind of a season.
No, you're not going to have another season. And if you check the standings, ladies and gentlemen, your New England Patriots, based on strength of schedule, have the #1 overall pick in the draft at this very moment.
Very good. There you have it.
Let's hear it.
And you trade out of that, and you pick up a bounty like the Bears did.
Yeah. You drop down 2, 3, 4 spots, get an extra first, a couple extra seconds, whatever it is.
And then
some
you're on your
teams will give you an insane amount of money for that #1 overall pick. Insane amount of picks for that #1 overall pick.
All right. So we'll be back in just a moment. Big news with the Bruins.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
It's the Strong Choice sale at Planet Fitness. Get top-tier equipment, free fitness training, and 24...
Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots are now 1-4 after a 15-10 loss to Miami and Foxborough yesterday. This one was certainly winnable. Patriots had a lead with less than 5 minutes to go before Dolphins fullback Alex Ingold put his team ahead with a 3-yard touchdown run. Patriots then drove back down the field only to see Jalen Polk's TD catch at the back line of the end zone overturned on replay. He disagrees.
As a receiver, catch the ball, get your feet in. I feel like that's what I did. I don't really want too much comment on, the ref situation and how they decide on, how they make the call.
Patriots had 166 yards passing and 104 yards in penalties in this one. They'll play Houston at Gillette Stadium Sunday. Texans are 4-1 after a last-second 23-20 win over Buffalo yesterday. Sports Illustrated's Brett Breer reported yesterday Drake May has made strides over the last couple of weeks against the Blitz in practice, and it is very much on the table for him to become this team's starting quarterback next month. A little over 48 hours before the beginning of their season, the Bruins were finally able to sign goaltender Jeremy Swayman yesterday. It's an 8-year, $66 million contract. Jonas Korpisalo is expected to start in net for the regular season opener tomorrow night in Florida against the Stanley Cup champion Panthers. Celtics are 2-0 in preseason play. They beat Denver and Abu Dhabi again yesterday, 103-104. The next preseason game is at home against Philadelphia Saturday night. San Diego beat the Dodgers in L.A. last night, 10-2. Philadelphia and the Mets are also even at a game apiece after a 7-6 Phillies win earlier on last evening. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Yankee Custom. They have everything you need to outfit your truck, van, or SUV. Yankee Custom is the largest retail inventory in New England with locations across New England. YankeeCustomTruck.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Boston, the greatest sports town in America.
We have a farm. I have about 200 pigs here.
We got to spill beers on each other without worrying about spilling beers on people.
Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. In the office, in your car, in your footy pajamas, this is how Boston sports fans start their day.
I bet you're just jealous.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I lost track of days. I didn't know what day it was. So it was a day-by-day thing. And again, it's a negotiation. And I respect the fact that you have to ask these questions. And again, what I'm truly focused on is the future and the here and now. Everything else was a blur in my mind. And all I'm worried about is being in net for the Boston Bruins right now. And I'm overjoyed with it. So I'm really excited about that.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and of course that's Jeremy Swayman. We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. We are on YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube. By the way, real quickly, 2 seconds before we get to Swayman, the Boston Globe, which I'm cutting articles out of, I'm framing them, I'm doing everything. There is an article titled "One-on-One with Wick Grosbeck" on the sale of Celtics designing championship rings and what's next. And it says, Celtics lead owner sat down with the Globe. Wick, stop. You've embarrassed yourself. It's embarrassing. Stop Stop doing interviews. Stop everything. Your father is making you sell. You a 2% stake owner in the team. People want to hear from the owner, not the sperm that went to the egg that got created by the owner. That's not what we want. Now, good for the club getting him. I mean, I read the article.
No.
But come on. It's like almost like he refuses to fall back into the shadows. He had his parade. That exists. That time happened. He had it. Now it's time to move on. He got his sitcom made of the cuckold. The sitcom where the ex-husband hangs out at the house with the new wife and the husband. He got all of it made. Now it's time to drift into something new. He's got his health. He's a handsome man. Let him go about his business. But you are not the owner of the Celtics. No. Your father is. All right. So the owner of the Bruins are the Jacobs family.
Yes.
And there was a bunch
They've had a lot to say during this process, too.
People crap on them, but they don't say nothing. I like that. And they go, why aren't they standing up and saying things?
Because they don't live here.
Yeah,
that's the other problem.
They're in Buffalo. They'd rather be in Buffalo than here.
Take that,
So
Boston.
the guy who owns the
Go say
Cavaliers,
that.
he lives
Yeah.
in Detroit. He's like, I don't want to live in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd rather live in Detroit. I'm the one guy. So, there's a hard cap in the NHL, and so you have to make your decisions very, very carefully. I heard a show this weekend. They were comparing the Swayman situation to that of Tom Brady and Mookie Betts.
Really?
Yes.
Come on.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Come on.
They were comparing it to, and then they said, well, he's not the same player.
Did they forget the rules? I guess
Yeah,
not. I guess they did.
See, there's no.
I guess they completely forgot.
You could have given conceivably Mookie Betts $1 billion if you wanted to.
Seriously.
There's no rules in the NHL. There's a hard cap. There's no way to finagle it. It's unfinagleable. Remember when Kovalchuk signed that? Kovalchuk signed a deal. It was like a 20-year deal for like $100 million, but they spread the money out. Maybe it was longer than that. So the AAV, average annual value, was like real low.
Right. He was making like $4 the last 3 years of the deal.
Yeah, exactly. So they put a stop to that. So the one sport that we're actually the only sport that we're really always looking at the cap is the NHL. That's the one sport because it's a hard cap and there's nothing you can do about it. So the money Swayman was getting, first of all, the value of a goaltender's, no one's positive. It's not like something that's like a number one starter or like a, the guy who's going to hit third in your lineup for the rest of his life. It's not as quantifiable as that. And also, there's only so much money to go around. So, Hardy, there was a lot of talk. Remember when Wallach and I were there for the big media day, they were talking about 64 million reasons why Swayman should have signed. Then Swayman's people said before that they had never offered us $64 million.
Right.
And so it was contentious. People thought he might get traded, and what happened?
Right. So Sweeney spoke yesterday, and he had a few things to say about the negotiation process.
I think I've been pretty consistent in saying that every deal has its own timeline. There's twists, turns, and such. You'd hope they'd be, a straight and narrow path, but it just doesn't always work out that way. And you have to be respectful and listen. I think that's part of this whole exercise of going through negotiations. You have to be willing to listen to what's important for the other party.
And for them, to come out, or Cam Neely to come out and say that he had 64 million reasons in order to, be on the ice and be out there playing. And for Swayman's side and Louis Gross, his agent, to say that number has never been thrown out there. Again, I think it's more posturing than anything else. I find it unbelievable that Neely would make that statement without it being out there. And sure enough, they end up signing a deal for just over $8 million a season. It works out to an AAV, as you've been talking about this morning, Wallach, 8.25.
Yep.
For 8 years.
8 years, $66 million.
So yeah, we are holding out for an extra $2 million. Essentially, is what he was the holdup.
Apparently, they had to come down. The Bruins did more moving than Swayman did, and you read all the reports out of Canada. Swayman wanted over 9. It was like 9.925, and then came down to 8.25 to get this done.
I think
What's the no trade situation?
It was probably the no trade, and I think they look at the percentage of the salary cap too. And
No, but I'm asking what's the no trade situation.
I don't know if that's
we
been
know?
reported.
We do not.
No,
Because I would imagine that's a big thing, because if there is a no trade clause, which all these contracts do have, one thing they have in the NHL is no trade clauses like you wouldn't believe. And if they've got him for 8 years with a no trade, oh boy. Because imagine he's never been your full-time goalie. If he comes out and gets the yips, or he comes out and can't handle the load, there's you're stuck. Could 7 years of like a garbage goalie for 8 points? Like, you can't make any other moves. Go ahead, John.
Year 3 to 6 of the deal, Swayman has a full no movement clause.
Okay, so there you go.
But the first 2 years, should they want to trade him, that is a possibility.
So I think
that was probably a big compromise too.
Part of
by
the
two sides.
Part of the
10-team trade list in year 7. I mean, it gets complicated.
Okay.
Sorry, Hardy.
Kevin Paul DuPont wrote about this too, and he talks about the percentages of the salary cap, and I think that's what the Bruins were hesitant to do, to go above some magic number. Is it 10%? Is it 11%? You compare it to the Tuukka Rask deal that he signed in 2013. That represented just over 10% of the salary cap. This Swayman deal is just under 10%. And if you're hesitant to compare Tuukka Rask to Jeremy Swayman or vice versa, in terms of games played, Rask had only played 6 more games than Swayman did when he signed that deal. I mean, in terms of what we know about this guy, and I've been the one saying it too, Fred, like, oh, you really don't know if Swayman can be an everyday guy. And it is a different mindset, and it's a different workload when you're not sharing goaltending duties with Linus Ullmark. But in terms of the body of work to look at, it's about the same as you have with Tuukka Rask. And his...
Was that the right decision with Rask?
I believe it was.
Yep.
And his percentage of the salary cap
Maybe you
is...
win a cup if you spent that money elsewhere.
Maybe. But you made it to a couple of cup finals with Rask, and people seem to want to dismiss that. I don't dismiss it. I don't dismiss going to the cup against
played
against the Blackhawks or the Blues. I really don't. I think you got to factor that into the success that you have with Tuukka Rask here. And for Jeremy Swayman to come in at a number percentage-wise less than what Tuukka Rask got of the salary cap, I think the Bruins look at it as a win. And if you want a goaltender here for the next 8 years, based on the body of work, about the same as what you have with Tuukka, I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, and Kevin Paul DuPont in that same article questions if there's going to be still a rift between the sides, and it would be why? What 8 years from now? Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think so.
Who cares?
I don't.
Probably.
I'm not seeing that.
Holy moly, that's too loud. That was too loud. I was going to take the call, but it was too much shenanigans.
Did you hang up on him just like that?
Yeah, but I don't think it was rude. It was just too loud. It was ear-piercing. I'm thinking of the listener.
Why don't you turn your headphones down there, Zoe? Or Wallach? Wallach's got to put his headphones up so loud because of the tumor.
Wallach, don't listen to him. What?
It's from all the years of age. It's not the tumor, man.
Yeah, man, I can't hear nothing. I feel vibration. Like you humming on it.
Wow.
What? Humming on the guitar.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh. That's on me. Sorry.
Yeah,
I misunderstood.
You got a dirty mind. I put a quarter in that bed. I don't have to move. Yeah.
Put a quarter in your ear and watch your teeth fold back.
Take out them dentures. Make it like a lady. Next time you're playing that trumpet, I want you to run full speed into the wall and knock them teeth out. Then come over here, and I'll give you an H.
Jed Baker lost his teeth, you know.
That's probably for real.
Next time you play the trumpet, I want you to run full speed into the wall. That seems like there's better ways of taking your teeth out.
Nah, that means the instrument did it. You get a big fat lip. Big old fat lips. Come over here, sweetheart. I got the age. I got a spike.
Daddy got some candy for you.
It's here in my pocket. Man, that ain't no spike. Come on, Jack. You gotta at least clean that thing off. And you know I got hepatitis. I'm Jazz Wallach. My liver cashed, man. I'm Jazz Wallach. I'm deaf.
I'm just gonna throw that in there. Don't have nothing to
I
do
got a
with it.
machine in my head that make the noise from the right ear go on the left ear too. I walk around in a circle chasing the sound. Goop boop 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 boop. Man, I can't figure out where they're coming from. I'm Jazz Wallach. I bump into the walls. Man, I don't know where you are while you yelling my name. I can't hear you. It sounds the same from my right and my left. I have no directional ability audio-wise.
Stereophonic sound don't mean nothing to me, Jack.
Yeah, man, save that money. Give it to me in mono.
Only need one headphone.
That's right. It's all the same. I got a scar, baby. Come over here, give a smooch. All right, very good. That's a lot of Jazz Wallach. I'll tell you what, that Patriot game was really bad. That's why
do we have to go back to that?
Well, we did a little Swayman. We did a little Jazz
We did
Wallach.
Swayman to kind of cleanse the palate.
We're
but
going to go back to
in.
it.
But anyways, suffice it to say that it was much to do about nothing. And Paul DuPont does make it sound like there could be some rift between the two parties. And to that, I would say no.
Apparently, there was some hurry to get it done before today
Yeah.
because of salary cap reasons.
Yes.
Yeah, and then also, well, he's not gonna start obviously the first game,
right?
But we'll see how much he can play during the regular season. He's a little guy too. It's amazing how thin the goaltenders are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Rask yesterday, and my son said, "Do you think they'll retire Rask's number?" And they probably will. Don't you think?
No.
I do. He's around. He's like around. He's never gone. He's at Buffs all the time. He's at Prest. He's at the Woodland.
He's one of the better
He's everywhere.
goaltenders in Bruins history.
I bet you they retire his number.
I mean, there was talk. I remember seeing Frank Saravalli, who works up in Canada, was projecting who might be elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in the next 10 years. He did this exercise last year, and Rask's name was on it.
As making it, he thought he was going to make it?
As making it.
That's interesting.
So, yeah. I mean, he won a Vezina. He never won a cup. He was there for Game 7 in 2019. He was there for Game 6 in 2013.
I wonder.
I get. For the most part, my default answer is going to be no for retiring any jersey. I think it should be. I think it should be beyond question, beyond reproach, special.
I would agree. He's a borderline case. Which, if he's a borderline case, then no.
Are all the numbers retired by the Bruins home runs?
Yeah, I would think. Yes, just thinking off the top of my head, yes.
You're very familiar with the Kraut line?
Yes, that was in the early. That was like Milt Schmidt and the boys.
Okay,
right?
so I will tell you real quick. We'll do this.
Dick
exercise.
Clapper.
That's right. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
But guys like O'Reilly.
All right, so here
Bork
Eddie
and
Shore,
Neely.
sure. Lionel Hitchman, sure. Bobby Orr, of course. Aubrey Ditt Clapper.
Yes.
Ditt, not Dick.
Already D-I-T.
D-I-T Clapper. Phil Esposito.
Yep.
Cam Neely.
Yep.
Johnny Busick.
Yep.
Milt Schmidt.
Yep.
Rick. Now, here's where it gets Willie O'Ree, obviously, for the
Yes.
social implications.
Yes.
Rick Middleton, Terry O'Reilly.
O'Reilly was beloved here. He's not a Hall of Fame player, but it was not a surprise when they retired his number.
Okay, and then Ray Bork, obviously. So I will tell you that Rick Middleton and Terry O'Reilly are not considered all-time greats.
No, they're not.
So
they are considered captains. They're former captains. Middleton was a great scorer when he played here.
Yeah, when he played here.
Yes, and
Right.
this is late 70s, early 80s.
Sure, but I'm just saying that, is Rask any worse than those two?
No.
So I bet you they retire.
As a
Rask's
goaltender,
number.
no.
Right. I mean, obviously, it's a different thing. Especially Terry O'Reilly. Was Terry O'Reilly even that good?
Yes. I have to look at
606 career points in a 13-year career.
Another former captain, but it wasn't
That doesn't
just that.
sound so crazy. I mean, 606 points in 13 years? Gretzky do that in 2. Go ahead.
They like it when you spend your whole career with one team, which Terry O'Reilly did.
No, he didn't. Oh, yeah, he did.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, another former captain. He was one of those guys who dropped the gloves. His nickname was Taz. He
fought a lot, 2,000 penalty minutes.
Yeah. Very well beloved. Over 200 penalty minutes in like 5 straight years.
And then he was a coach.
Yep.
Because you got Marchand and you got Bergeron's numbers will be retired.
easy,
You have
yeah.
Chara's number will be retired from those teams.
Yep.
I would go with I'd cap it at those 3.
And then it starts becoming a discussion.
Those 3 obviously deserve to be more than Rask. Rask is a
Yes.
far distant fourth on that
And do you
list.
want to put 4 from that era up? Maybe Rask, they won't retire Rask's number because then you put 4 from that one era. They haven't done that before except for whenever those old guys played.
Yeah, the 20s, 30s,
Yeah,
and
maybe they
40s,
all played.
yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what happened back then? It's too far. It's too far in the past.
What about Tim Thomas?
No.
No.
He didn't play here long enough. All right, we'll be back in just a moment with our friend.
Do people speak more glowingly about Tim Thomas
Yes,
or Tuukka Rask?
absolutely, Tim Thomas, certainly, because he won a cup for him, and that's always going to be what it is. Mike Reese is going to join us in just a moment.
Touch your
Bruins open the regular season in Florida as they face off against their playoff nemesis and Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Pre-game with Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers starts at 6:30. Face-off is at 7. Bruins hockey is back. And you'll hear all the games right here from regular season through the playoffs. This is your home of the Boston Bruins. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Is elongating.
Weekday morning.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
4th and 15 from the 17.
Hooper staying in the block.
Brissett
With the bump and run.
takes the snap. Dolphins with a blitz coming. Brissett throws it toward the end zone. The pass is going to land incomplete. Hunter Henry and Kendrick Bourne were back there for New England, but not close. No flag on the play. Miami spilling off its near sideline. The offense to return to the field.
We are, I used to cop a lot, but then I copped I don't know the word.
No, you're doing it, man. Just freestyle.
No, that was
Making money on my day. Hardy on my left, Kaufman on my right. Don't know what to flow about.
You're not rhyming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the cipher. No, you don't have the cipher. It's not coming through you. Mike Reese is ESPN's NFL Nation reporter covering the Patriots. He's brought to you by DN Van Lines. Moving your home or business and need a recommendation from someone? How about a recommendation from almost the entire staff here at the Sports Hub and Sports Hub itself? I used them. Yes, they moved the station to dnvanlines.com. Mike joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Mike, hello, sir.
Good morning, Fred, Hardy, John. How we doing?
We are doing fantastic and just enjoying the afterglow of what a tremendous game that was we witnessed yesterday. It had to be. Zolak called it the worst loss since Brady. I don't know how you'd quantify that, but in terms of play, was this one of the worst games you've seen from a football standpoint from both teams?
That was a lot of bad football, Fred. I was thinking back. It almost brought me back to the early 90s, thinking that I was brought back into that time when they actually played good defense, I thought, but the offense was so inept. That was tough to watch.
Okay, so they kind of abandoned the run a little bit yesterday. First of all, I'll ask you this. Do you think Mayo has much involvement in the offense?
Do I think he has much involvement in the offense? Let's see. Going back to preseason and training camp, he talked about how he basically, he oversees it, but he defers to the head coach of the offense, Alex Van Pelt. So do I think he has much involvement? I don't think he's calling the plays, but I think he can overrule it or tell Alex Van Pelt, hey, we need to run it here. I hope he's doing that, Fred. I don't know if he is, and if he isn't, he better start because they can't keep managing the games like they are at the end of the second quarter. They made the same mistake this game that they did in week 2 against Seattle.
Okay, because when you look at it, they had some success running the ball, but they kind of abandoned it. And I'm sure Van Pelt would tell you, well, that's how the defense set up. They were set up to stop the run. But I would counter, well, you can't throw. So what the hell difference does it make? Your 2 longest plays outside of the garbage Hunter Henry play were runs. So what did you think of the play calling yourself?
So there's a couple things, Fred. So when you talk about abandoning the run, I 100% agree at the end of the second quarter. They have the ball at their own 5-yard line with 1:50 until halftime, and the Dolphins have 3 timeouts left. They run on first down for 8 yards. It's 2nd and 2. and then they passed it twice. Didn't make Miami use a timeout. 2 incomplete passes, have to punt it away to them. They got lucky, Fred, that Miami had the bad snap on the field goal. But the residual of that, the defense had to come back out on the field, and we saw how they were tired at the end of the game. So I would use, to me, that's the point I would use on abandoning the run. Otherwise, I went back, maybe the first down play right prior to the play of the reverse touchdown. Maybe you run there. Otherwise, I don't.
What about the turnover in the red zone? What about their red zone offense? When they got the turnover, when they blocked the kick.
Oh, and that play. Let's go back and look at it. I haven't gone through the game.
Oh,
yet.
baby, that's what we're doing right now. We're gonna cook through this log.
Let's go.
Believe it.
Let's go.
Let's knock out.
Everyone,
the
get your
log.
notes out.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. So they blocked the second quarter. They blocked the field goal, Fred, and then they had they had a holding penalty on Ramondre Stevenson on second down to make it 2nd and 17. So 2nd and 17, that's you got to throw, right? And that's when he found Pop over the middle to reset the downs. 1st and 10, and they did try to run on first down. Then they get another holding penalty.
All right.
On Nick Leverett. So they're 1st and 19. Got to throw, right? 2nd and 12. So honestly, Fred, on that one, I felt like the holding penalties on set him back and made him have to pass.
Well, they did run on 3rd and 15. So
well, no, anytime you're 3rd and greater than 10, it's a give up. That's part of the problem with this offense.
And then it was a dump pass to Brissett or to Stevenson. So I guess you're right. Maybe I'm splitting hairs. I remember it wrong.
No, but I think, Fred, the deeper discussion is like, where were the play action passes? Were they there, right? And when I go back through this, that's what I want to look at, because to me, their passing game, the best thing they have going is marrying it to the running game, which, to your point, was working pretty well yesterday. And I don't recall seeing too many of those live, but I wanted to go back and confirm that watching it over again.
So Fred made a point earlier in the show, Mike, that the Patriots used their training camp to go out and try and win the first game or two, where other teams that think they're actually going to have a season are going out and trying to prepare for the entirety of the season, maybe even thinking about the playoffs, thinking about long-term health and well-being. Do you agree with that notion, and what do you make of that strategy, if that's in fact what you think the Patriots were doing?
So here's the way I look at it, Hardy. I think they got to tighten this thing up, and I think it's more about coaching. Start with that. 12 penalties for 104 yards. One of those penalties was 12 men on the field on a punt return.
Yep.
When Joshua Uche is trying to run off the field, and I don't know why no one saw that and tried to call a timeout, knowing that it's 4th and 1, and a penalty means the Dolphins are keeping the ball. Who is watching this? Where is the breakdown? Tighten it up. So I think it's more about, to me, that, or it's a horse collar tackle, and then roughing the passer. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, Keon White headbutts a quarterback on an incompletion on 3rd down to keep a very important drive alive. And there's one thing about not getting off the field, but players that they're depending on to make plays are making terrible mistakes. And I don't know. These guys who are coaching them have been there before, have been in the league before. It's not the first time they've ever watched football. How do you explain this?
Well, so, John, I don't know how to explain it other than to say that Keon White came out for one play after the roughing the passer and then was back on the field. My question is, do you need to start taking him off the field to make your point? Because what is happening right now is not getting through. And I don't, maybe it's a little harsh because those are 2 plays in whatever he played, 60 plays, and I'm sure he made other plays. But those are the ones that stand out to me when I look at the big picture. What is going wrong here? And I'm balancing it with the fact that they were still a few inches away from possibly winning the game, right? But I can't imagine that even if they won, that they would have felt good coming back in there with the way they played, more offensively. And I thought special teams, some good, some bad. They just got to tighten it up.
Okay, Wallach and I both have a follow-up. You judge which one is better.
No.
Hardy
got really angry that I was going to ask something. So
because
Hardy,
your follow-ups are often
yours.
not follows. Mine is an actual follow-up,
Go
Mike.
right ahead,
Because
Hardy.
we're talking about Keon White. We're talking about the defense. Last week, there's a mutiny. No, there's no mutiny. There's no. If there is anything close to it, it's got to be coming from the defense first. And whether you see it manifest in ways like personal fouls or dumb plays that extend drives. If anybody is tapping out on this and any part of the locker room is being lost, it's got to be on the defensive side of the ball.
I haven't seen that myself. I will say that, but I agree. I thought the defense deserved better yesterday. Sort of hung out to dry, in my opinion. Look at the time of possession. They were on the field for 34 minutes and 20 seconds. Patriots could only possess the ball 25 minutes, 40 seconds. And I think it leads to probably the big discussion here is what are they thinking at quarterback, guys?
Okay.
I felt like the first 2 or 3 weeks that there was so much happening around the quarterback on offense that wasn't good, that Jacoby Brissett did, in my opinion, an admirable job keeping them afloat in less than ideal circumstances. I felt like this game and maybe a little bit last game, you start asking yourself, do they need the quarterback to elevate what's happening around them more? And so I have to imagine the coaches are watching the game over and having a long conversation about that, especially because Gerard Mayo even said the game they won, it's unsustainable to expect to win games when you're only scoring 16 points. They're averaging 12.3 or 12.4 points per game. Just can't keep going this way.
Right. Yeah, but I will say this, is that regardless of what they want to do at quarterback, you didn't want to play Drake May. I don't understand. I'm going to stick with this all season. Why they don't have a veteran backup. If Brissett's struggling and it's going to cost the locker room, which is what everyone's alleging, then if that's the big decision and they don't want to play May, and May's an injury away anyway, why the hell don't they have a backup quarterback to put in? Why that doesn't make any logical sense to me. I'm telling you right now.
Okay. So, all right, Fred, let me see. There's a little bit to unpack here. Just on the locker room, I want to say I think there's a lot of admiration for Jacoby in the locker room.
Great. 1,
because of the person he is, and 2, because of the beating he's taken for the team. So I just want to start with that. And I think the premise that they don't want to play Drake is probably where I would push back on what you said, if I heard it right, Fred, which I think they're fine playing him because they don't have a veteran backup.
I know, but it doesn't make any sense. You understand? I might be crazy, but logically that just doesn't make sense. Like we're not going to start Drake May. Why? Because he's not ready. Okay, well then what are you going to do if Brissett gets hurt or doesn't play well? We'll play Drake May. So you're almost taking the situation out of your own hands. You're not controlling the environment. Why do they like joint practices? Because it's a controlled environment. You would think that you would want Drake May to play after a week of preparation, 2 weeks of preparation, getting him up to speed, putting him in the best position to succeed. But they're going to just leave it up to the starting quarterback getting injured and tossing him into a game? It doesn't make any sense. If you don't want to, they obviously don't feel comfortable starting him or haven't this season. I don't understand why they didn't have a veteran backup. So if Brissett and I like that you say that you're seeing that the locker rooms that has faith in everyone and da. But other people have been speculating, not saying it's happening, but speculating that they got to play May because if they see that May is the better quarterback and he's not playing because they're afraid they're going to get hurt, he's going to get hurt. They're saying, well, why am I out there going to play and getting hurt? I've heard that by like 18 analysts. So you understand what I'm saying?
I do, and I think where I think I look at it different. I don't think they're not playing him because they're afraid he'll get hurt.
No, I know, because they don't think he's ready or it's the right situation.
More that. I don't think it's that they don't think he's ready 100%. It's that we just saw what happened with Mac Jones. Like, I think that's what it is, Fred. We've had 5 different offensive line combinations in the first 5 games. Receivers were trying to figure it out, like who's getting open. And I think they feel like they're getting closer to having those, and it's not great, but that they feel like they're getting closer to having some answers that are suitable enough to now elevate the conversation for Drake to say, he was 1 snap away in week 1, and we think if he had to play, we were fine with that. We don't want it, but we would be fine with it. Now, I feel like we're in the target zone.
Okay, well, if they feel after yesterday that they're closer to him playing, I mean that they've figured out something. I'd like to know what it is.
Make sure May's able to handle.
And
the
I know
blitz.
you talk to people in the building, and that's what you're saying. But I mean, yeah,
it's a little bit of that, Fred. But I want to give a couple specific examples. I don't want to go overboard here on the time, but like moving Micah Wenu back to right guard. I felt, and I want to see if this is true. I felt like Jacoby had a little more time on a consistent basis, protection wise. They did have some holding penalties. Receiver, Jalen Polk clearly elevating to a starter role. Keyshawn Boutte knocking out Tyquan Thornton. I think we'll see that continue. Kendrick Bourne getting back in there. So that, to me, you start to see some pieces moving around that they can move forward with. And I think that's, I'm not saying it's great, but I feel like that's the point that I would make as it relates to the situation settling a little bit where you can now move forward if you want to go with Drake.
All right. Well, thank you for staying on with us late. I'm going to get in trouble from Rick for being very late to the break.
Fault.
No, it's not. It's completely my fault, and really John's for having to ask back.
He didn't even get to ask his other follow up, which I'm sure was.
It was riveting. You guys missed it.
Well,
it's terrible.
Well, please don't hold it. Don't be selfish. All right. Thank you, Mike. Mike Reese, obviously from ESPN. Thanks so much for the time, as always.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Mike. We'll be back in just a moment. Near the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
It was the last No Effects show of all time. Last night, this is No Effects in the background. And I saw the video. They played this song, was the last song that they played. And of course, Fletcher from Pennywise came out on stage and made all about the song. I think Fletcher from Pennywise might have a drug and alcohol.
Did you go to either of the shows?
I was out of town.
This summer. I was out of town too. I'm bummed about that. I mean, I saw them a couple of summers ago when they did Drunk in Public, Punk and Drublic over in Worcester, and that was fun with Descendants. But I wish I'd been able to see those farewell shows.
Yeah, you know, I saw them. I've interviewed the guys. You know, I've been in the same room with them. So what do I know?
Insider.
Yeah, you got that right. I'd be
friend of the band.
Yeah, right. Best friends. Joey from Lagwagon tried to sign my friend's band back in the day, and I went out with him and that band Left Front Tire, who are on the American Pie 2 soundtrack, with a song called Cheater, which sounds unlike anything else that came out at that time. But Left Front Tire, they were great guys, and Joey from Lagwagon wanted to sign him, and I ended up on the Me First and the Gimme Gimme's tour bus, and everyone was asleep. They tuckered out early. All right. We just talked to Mike Reese about what's going on, and as always, what the conversation will be is Drake May. And there's conversation from all the analysts saying, you know, if you're in the locker room, the thing that they all like Gerard Mayo and they all respect Gerard Mayo. The thing that could turn things in the locker room is that if they think Drake May's better and then Jacoby Brissett and he's not playing because they don't want him to get hurt, then they'll say, why am I playing when I could get hurt? And that could cause big rabble-razzle. So Jacoby Brissett is bad, and he's playing bad. Now, he's getting hit a lot and everything else, but he's not a good quarterback. He's not. So what I don't understand is if you don't want to play Drake May, and you don't because you aren't, why you didn't have a guy to bring in case Brissett was struggling or got hurt. Then we just talked to Mike Reese, and he's obviously talking to people at the that are telling him these things. They don't necessarily think Drake's not ready to play, and they were waiting for things to get easier. He just said this, you know, and for things to get a little more cohesive so they could put Drake May in. And after yesterday, you think things are more cohesive? That offense is a disaster.
Yeah, I moving on Wenner to right guard, they thought was going to be a good thing, and it turned out to make things even worse. And did you see Bert Breer's report yesterday morning? Bert was saying basically that Drake May has made major strides in the last 2 or 3 weeks against the blitz in practice, and they want to make sure he's ready to handle that before they put him out there.
Okay, but why would you then, again, how does this, I feel like I'm on another planet. How does this make logical sense? Why would you throw him into a game either mid-game because your quarterback was struggling so badly? Obviously, there are other factors than just he's like lost his mind. So either the game is so out of control that you have to pull your quarterback, or he gets hurt. Wouldn't it be better to give the guy a week of preparation as the starter and then put it in, have a set? How about this? You have a script. The first 20 plays, it's not unheard of. The first 20 plays are scripted. The kid goes out there. He doesn't have to think. They're just scripted plays. He doesn't have to A or B. You have easy check down, easy audibles. That's what you're doing. How about that? None of this makes any sense. And if you're waiting for things to get more cohesive offensively, and yesterday is the game you're pointing to and going, oh, things are starting to work out. How? You threw the ball 34 times for 10 yards. How is this a cohesive offense? Go ahead.
Two things at play here. Obviously, they miscalculated. They thought they could get by long enough to get May ready. Obviously, as we're seeing, they're getting worse every week and not better. And Bert's point was the fact that May's going to have a full week of preparation. Bert's point was that day is coming within the next month. His report was it is very much on the table that May will starting. That's not phrased correctly in November.
Okay, great, but why don't? But
I don't
again,
know why.
if you can lose, but then why would you put him in October if Brissett gets hurt or sucks? And second of all, if you could lose the locker room, as they're all saying, they've said it to us, many people. You know, why? Well, they don't want to play May. Well, that's not true. They could play May. Why? Because they could lose the locker room if Brissett's not playing well and they're not playing May, even though he's the better quarterback. They've all said it, all of them. And they're obviously hearing it because what are the big concerns this season? We knew they were going to suck. The big concerns were the development of Drake May, A, and Gerard Mayo's success as a coach. Those were the two things. Success as a coach not quantified by wins, success as a coach by the respect of his players, the development of a program, and the idea that they were getting better towards the end of the season. And I just think they really, really, really miscalculated this. Vic, go ahead. I like the way this is written on the screen. Or you go.
Fred, I think you're exactly right. And I think the reason why there's not a veteran quarterback is there's obviously a disconnection between Mayo and Wolf right now, because if we're not wanting to play May, then we should have a backup and not play May at all. There should be no discussion about it. But there just seems like there must be a disconnect between the two, and it's just not out there.
Thank you. Said finally, I don't understand it. If you don't want to play him and you don't think that the situation's right, then why is he an injury away from playing? And if you think that Mayo could lose the locker room because they're not playing May, and Jacoby's struggling, then why don't you have a guy that you can put into a game? It doesn't make any sense. If you're so hard up about keeping Joe Milton, then keep him. Then keep 4 quarterbacks. What is that going to cost you this year? Keeping 4 quarterbacks, that roster spot, what's that going to cost you? That's going to be the difference between what? Between what and what? Between winning 2 games and winning 3 games? Some special teams player is going to be the difference?
I think that their plan all along, and this is the definition of half measures, was to put Drake May in at some point around the midpoint of the season.
Fine, but then get a backup and then cut him. By the way, how many plays did Tyquan Thornton play yesterday? Tyquan Thornton played 1 game, 1 play. You couldn't take that roster spot and put someone else in there?
Well, Thornton's on his way out, so that
I understand that, but carry 4 quarterbacks and don't have Tyquan Thornton on the team. Yeah. He didn't draft him. Who cares? Yeah. Belichick drafted him. Get rid of him. I don't understand any of this. That's what I don't understand.
They didn't think it would be this inept with Jacoby Brissett.
That's what I was saying earlier. They thought that they would be able to get by long enough, and the team wouldn't be this bad for them to say, okay, now we're ready to hand the baton over at 2-6.
How many teams don't have a veteran backup quarterback? I didn't say a good one. How many teams don't have a veteran backup quarterback? How many teams have 2 rookies as their quarterbacks? I don't know if there's another team in the NFL that has 2 rookies as their backups, let alone a terrible team.
I was going to say, and you have veteran backups on teams with good quarterbacks, with good starting quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah. All right. We're running very, very late. We'll go around the NFL in just a moment.
FM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Patriots have now lost 4 in a row.
Hill starts in motion from the left. They hand off to Ingold, and the fullback takes it in on his feet to the end zone, and the Dolphins take the lead.
Right down your throat. And they overcame a big penalty on a big play. It's an embarrassing drive right there.
Alec Ingold.
That's Bob Sosey and Scott Zolak here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Alex Ingold's 3-yard touchdown run with just over 4 minutes left put the Dolphins ahead to stay in a 15-10 Patriots loss at Gillette Stadium. Patriots did have a chance at the end, but Jalen Polk's touchdown catch was overturned on replay, and the team was now 1-4. They play 4-1 Houston at Gillette Stadium Sunday. Texans beat Buffalo 23-20 on a 59-yard field goal in the final play of regulation. Sports Illustrated's Bert Breer reported yesterday Drake May has made strides over the last couple of weeks against the Blitz in practice, and it is now very much on the table for him to become the team's starting quarterback next month. The Bruins finally signed restricted free agent goaltender Jeremy Swayman yesterday. It's an 8-year, $66 million contract. Jonas Korpisalo will start in net tomorrow night in the regular season opener on the road against Florida. Celtics are 2-0 in preseason play. They beat Denver and Abu Dhabi again yesterday, 130-104. And San Diego beat the Dodgers in L.A. last night, 10-2 to even up that baseball playoff best-of-5 series at a game apiece. Philadelphia and the Mets also even at a game apiece after a 7-6 Phillies win earlier yesterday evening. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Bentley University, where good business begins and leaders come to learn. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
To us, Boston pride runs deep.
I'm a Bostonian!
This is Boston's Home for Sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Twitch feed of this is going to be used all around the internet.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up. We're back. Toucher and Hardy. Get up. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Around the NFL with Toucher and Hardy.
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You may watch us on YouTube. You're allowed to now. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. Hardy, it was a big Sunday in the NFL. And was it ever fun? And last night was a big exclamation point. Weather delayed Sunday Night Football to about a 9:45 kickoff. And that was in Pittsburgh. That's East Coast time, baby. Even though it's Western PA. The Steel City, take us there.
All right, Fred, where the Steelers...
Take us to the Steel City. Hey!
Scott Zolak, I'm sure, was up watching that thing. He's still Stillers fan after all.
A couple
these years.
Super Bowls, I think, between these two teams. A lot of legacy. Two blue blood franchises.
Were you of that era? Did you had to choose between the Cowboys and the Steelers as a youngster? I bet Wallach and I were.
Takes me back to the early 70s.
My father...
What were you? Were you Steelers or Cowboys?
I was definitely Cowboys at that point.
You know, my father was a season ticket holder of the Steelers starting in 1972.
Oh. Huh.
1972 to 1976. Or maybe even earlier than that, maybe 71, but he was there for 3 bricks shy of a load era.
3 River Stadium.
Yeah, 3 Rivers Stadium. They had season tickets. He lived in the same apartment complex as some of the players, and George Perlis, young defensive coordinator.
Wow.
And he was at a party one time. George Perlis passed out on the stairs with a glass of red wine in his hand. Why is this fun? Because it takes us back to a time where football players lived in the same apartment complexes as couples in their late 20s, early 30s.
I can't even imagine.
Upper St. Clair. Now, not a bad area of Pittsburgh, but nonetheless.
I was there for George Perlis in his glory days at Michigan State. Up the middle, up the middle, up the middle punt.
What a fun group that could never beat Michigan. Or really, one Rose Bowl?
Yeah,
Percy Snow?
88?
Yeah, I just remember my friend's sister being very excited about it.
Anyway, Cowboys 2-2 going into Pittsburgh last night, needing a win. Dak Prescott throwing the ball all over the field. He was 29 of 42 for 352 yards, but threw a bunch of picks. Meanwhile, Justin Fields, who actually left the game, Kyle Allen had to come in because Russell Wilson's still on the pay no mind list as he's nursing a calf injury from about a month ago.
I'm not sure what
He's
you call
nursing
that
being
list.
a nerd.
What list is that exactly?
Justin had the pay no mind list.
Yeah.
Pay no mind to Russell Wilson. He's here, but he's not really here. Justin Fields, not doing much, 131 yards, but he did throw 2 touchdowns for the Steelers to take a late lead. Cowboys get the ball back with under 5 minutes left.
4th and goal. Prescott in the gun. Snap is back. He has some time. He throws it in the end zone. It's a touchdown to Jalen Tolbert on the left side of the end zone, crossing in front of Deshaun Elliott.
Dak Prescott doing just enough at the very end to get the win.
We had a play call that we love. We're very confident in. Regardless of the defense, offensive line did a great job. Tolbert came open to the left, just had to make the throw.
There was no watching last night. I believe Prescott also fumbled last night to go with those 2 picks.
Yeah, he fumbled in the red zone, and the Steelers were covering that ball away from winning that game.
Is there any team other than the Patriots more boring to watch than the Pittsburgh Steelers?
But you know what, Tom? Well, you get quotes like this at the end of the game. I don't know if you have it, but at the end of the game, he said, football is a hair away from drinking wine or crushing the grapes.
Or, squishing grapes.
Squishing grapes is what he said.
And then he went on to give a full detailed injury report on every player who got dinged up and told you whether or not they would be playing next week.
But I thought it was a fun way to
Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Pittsburgh's played 5 games. They haven't scored 20 points in any of those 5 games. All 5 games, except for one, have been one-score games. They're 3-2, and they have 3 winnable games coming up. I mean, this team can actually make the playoffs.
Yeah, this just in the AFC is not so great.
Yeah.
Here you go.
I mean, I mean, the AFC's not good. It's just not good. It was supposed to be, but it's not.
Here you go, Fred.
You know, I just told the team there's a fine line between drinking wine and squashing grapes in our business, and you know that's an example of it. You know, that ball's on the ground right there in the red area, and that's the difference.
Okay,
that red area, I ain't scared of it.
Hey, I got.
No, wait a second. I want you to play this metaphor out.
How many morning shows can come on the air after a delayed Sunday night football game in the 2 main hosts, Wallach, out of the picture, are aware of a post-game press conference quote? Hardy and I both knew it.
Yeah, thank you.
That game probably ended 1 o'clock in the morning.
You're welcome.
And Hardy and I knew the post-game press conference from Mike Tomlin.
I thought about it when you said it, and I think about it now only because since you're doubling down on the brilliance of it, drinking wine is in celebration. How is squashing grapes the opposite of a celebration?
Well, you fall out of the thing and start groaning like a madwoman, as happened live on Atlanta television when I lived in Atlanta.
Where is it?
The grape squash lady, perhaps the greatest fall in internet history, because she handled it so poorly. The woman did not fall 10 feet. Woman fell 2 feet. I mean, she really made a show of it. I mean, come on, woman. Control yourself. I saw that in the background, like these TVs are on now. It happened in the 9 o'clock hour, I believe 9 a.m. hour, and I was on the air in Atlanta, and the lady fell.
I can't breathe. Stop.
And if you get a chance, if you can find the Led Zeppelin thing that someone made. It wasn't from our show. It was just someone on the internet made
How
it.
old a woman was this?
Not old. Not old.
Like 40?
Yeah, like younger than me.
Okay.
And she was stomping grapes, and she fell about 2 feet. Like, I'm sure it wasn't, like, nice to fall 2 feet. It was on grass, and she behaved like a maniac. Ow, 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 ow. All right, lady, calm down. Some of us can cold plunge for 6 minutes and not make a peep.
She got the wind knocked out of her. You don't get the wind knocked out of you when you go into your cold plunge.
If you knew I was Mike, if I knew, first of all, I have a high tolerance for pain. That's a fact. You can call my ex-wife and even
Let's
ask
test it.
Yes? How? I've been very bad. Is that a cat of 9 tails? Let's test it out.
I need discipline.
I do. Let's test my pain
here,
threshold.
I have a dart.
What? Do you have any wax? You're going to drip that on me. Yeah, she fell. And if you mic'd me up and I fell 2 feet, And even if I broke my leg in front of people, and I didn't carry on like that. If you told me I was mic'd up on television, no, I wouldn't make those noises. Are you crazy? I'd rather die. I'd rather die than be that woman.
I don't know, man. When I fell on that treadmill at the beginning of the year, about a week before the show started this year,
bad chest injury there.
The noises I made, and to the point where my wife and son came huddling around me and wanted to know if I was going to be okay, and I just kept telling them to shut up, and I didn't know because I thought I was dying.
I don't think
if you could take me back in an Albert Brooks defending your life situation and watch that video, the actual real video from that moment in my life, I don't think I covered myself in glory. I thought I was going to die.
Cover yourself in.
Okay, Fred, you're the only. Wallach, you didn't watch the Jets game yesterday, did you?
I did.
Yesterday morning? Oh,
I did watch the Jets game.
I got up. My son came home from his friend's house. He came home from Winchester.
Now
at his friend's house, and he sat down, and me and the boy watched the Jet game.
I started watching the Jet game, but I had to beg off around the middle of the first quarter because the Celtics were on.
Yeah, because John's got to prepare himself. Even though Grandy, I just got sent something, is tweeting like he's coming back to that job, so he was a sociopath at the end of the season. Crying and carrying on.
So, John, did you see this?
3 receivers right, 1 left. They blitz Rodgers, and they pay for it. Picked off by Van
I don't
Ginkel.
care for Allen.
To the 50, on the sideline, 40, and is loose. Touchdown!
He's a guy that's like, when I'm in the chapel with the players. Oh, are you really in the chapel with the players? The big chapel? I'm sorry,
Ginkel
Adam.
made Aaron Rodgers tinkle right down his leg.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers isn't good. He's not good at quarterback, and he carries on, and he's not mobile, and he in the defense for the Jets played an outstanding game, and Sam Darnold didn't look good. It looked like
horrible. Fred, Aaron Rodgers is good. Those interceptions and some of his play, that's not him.
That was below my standard. I just found out I've never thrown 2 picks in the first quarter before. So that's a first. One of us cost, obviously, 7, and the other, could have cost 3. So in a game where you lose by 6, plays like that are exponentially highlighted. So 3 turnovers for me is definitely out of character, and I'm disappointed.
It's out of character for him.
That front shoulder throw
that wasn't
into
a bad.
Stephon Gilmore was pretty bad.
At least that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
That's the most excusable one. That's the one that's going to be highlighted. But the 2 that he threw, the one that he threw to Lazard, the one that wasn't returned for a touchdown, was really something else. By the way, I believe the guy that intercepted the ball for the pick 6 was lined up on the defensive line.
Van Ginkel.
I believe he was lined up and fell back into coverage. I'll tell you that Flores has got a lot of trickery going on, and you would think that would be what Aaron Rodgers would specialize in. But he was going to the Blue Medical tent at one time. He went like the Great Lady and was wincing in pain and hobbling around. And he was going to go to the Blue Medical tent, but then they called roughing the kicker on a punt, and Rodgers just turned around and put his helmet on.
Okay,
and by the way, Sauce Gardner's a huge pussy too. Why does he leave one more game and come back?
Van Ginkel put the Jets to sleep.
It's Rip Van Winkle. Go ahead.
Jets are 2-3,
but he's Van Ginkel.
I understand. Van Tinkle was the guy I used to pay. Lived on the Lower East Side. Yes, go ahead.
Jets are kind of line 350.
Yeah, he had a van where he tinkled. I get it. Go ahead. What do you got? Puppies in there? You don't need them. I'll go in anyway. All right, go ahead.
You've completely given control of your franchise to a quarterback that's not good. You're 2-3. Fred, do the Jets make the playoffs this year?
Ooh.
They play Buffalo next Sunday. I told you they just had to win one of those.
You said yourself the AFC's not good, so everything's kind of a big question mark.
They probably make the playoffs.
2-3 now.
Yeah, they probably make the playoffs.
Even with Rodgers playing like this.
The end of their schedule is so easy. Like, they just got to get hot. You got to win, 9 games to make the playoffs?
8. It might even be 8.
All right, so they play
got Rams and Bills in 2 out of their last 3.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams aren't any good.
But the Rams can beat the Jets.
Sure, they could. McVay could outcoach Saleh. I think if he was on ketamine.
Stafford can do Stafford things in the fourth quarter.
Who knows if Stafford will be standing up by then. They play the Bills, and then they're at Steelers, at Patriots. They have the Texans, but at Cardinals, Colts, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jaguars, Rams. I mean, their schedule's easy. So, yes, I think they'll win I think they'll certainly beat what would that be? 8 and 9?
8 and 9, 9 and 8.
Yeah, they'll be 8 or 9, 8 and 9.
All right.
You want to?
I mean, they missed a field goal to beat Denver, and Denver's 3 and 2. I mean, look, I stopped watching the game. I believe they were down 17-0. I stopped watching the game at one point in the first half, but then they scored a touchdown.
They were down 17-7.
No. They were okay, but they were down
17-0.
Yeah, they were down 17-0. So I will give them this: they came back. Because they were down 17-0, and it looked like they were going to get blown out, and they scored a late touchdown in the first half. Stopped Minnesota on several drives, 3 and out, and then we're in a position to win the game. So I'll hand them that. They didn't.
Garrett Wilson actually looked good yesterday. First time in a while.
Okay, this is going to be of interest to no one but me. Who's the guy that was a Navy SEAL that's on the NFL Network? He's a handsome fella. He's not the ugly one. He's the handsome one on the morning show on the NFL Network. Kyle Brandt. Kyle Brandt, is that his name?
Okay.
Sure. Anyway, so it was on the NFL Network, right? Right after the game, that Brandt dude goes, well, I don't know. You got to go get Devontae Adams right away. It's like they've run their offense around Alan Lazard. That was the most catches Wilson's ever had in a game. It was like
13 catches.
Dude, it was weird. It was like he was hungover and like showed up to work late and just said the first thing that came into his mind. It was, no one else is going to get this but me. It was the most bizarre thing ever. I believe in the first quarter and a half, they literally only targeted Garrett Wilson. Does it have targets in the box score?
It does. Hang on, I'll get it.
Garrett Wilson was targeted 22 times in the game. Yeah. 22 times he was targeted. That Kyle Brandt guy said they're running their offense around Alan Lazard. No one's going to care about
101 yards and a touchdown.
No one's going to care about this but me, but it was super weird. And I had to turn it off. I'm like, oh my God, this guy didn't watch the game. He doesn't even have the box score. Hachimachi. Was he drunk? He was a Navy SEAL. He's very handsome. Unlike that other lump that they got on that show, who I like better, but he's too lumpy.
Okay.
Next to that hunk.
Lumpy
He's
Rutherford?
lost weight, too. He was all fat, and then he lost weight, but he's still not handsome. That's a lot to go up against that. A handsome ex-Navy SEAL. That's like Sherry Spears' husband. You know?
Was he a hunk?
Oh, yeah. You got to do that research. You got to find out who she's married to and see this big hunky tough
what
guy.
my competition is.
No, I didn't say that. He's a big hunky tough guy, though.
Bengals, Ravens we'll get to,
we'll get
along
to
with the Bills and Texans.
Yeah, there was a lot of games yesterday.
Commanders, Browns, all of them on the way.
The NFL's not so great, but here we are. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Touch. Sports Hub.
This just in, the Grape Lady, thanks to Paul, the Grape Lady suffered no punctured lung. It says she broke 2 ribs. To what degree? I think she carried on too much.
Stress fracture, hairline fracture.
Exactly,
full
like
break.
a broken
what
rib.
What are we looking at?
Yeah, I mean,
In
broken
the
ribs
moment,
suck.
I can't believe you put me in a position where I have to defend the grape stomping lady, but in the moment, it's very painful.
You have
When's
a fracture? What would you have?
I didn't even have a fracture. The woman told me, she was being nice to me, the x-ray tech. She's like, well, it's really hard to tell. There might be some hairline fractures here.
In other words, rub some dirt on it and get back out there.
Because I'm in pain. Mr. High Tolerance for Pain over here. When's the last time you had the wind knocked out of you? Because that was the first time it had happened to me in probably 20 years.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember one time in football, I landed on the ball, and I thought I was going to die. But I didn't carry on like that. I actually have a very high tolerance for pain. I'm not lying. Let me have something. Why can't I have something? Why is it everything got to be a negative with me?
This is the same way you get gas when you go in for a dental cleaning?
No. If they offered it, I would. But no, I don't. Like if I saw a gas thing of nitrous and they were like, hey, do you want nitrous? Or I would go, yeah, can I have nitrous? No, I don't get. Who told you I got gas for a dental cleaning?
I guess I just.
Well, no, when I had oral surgery, and I saw a button. All right, this is how rumors get started. When I went in to get oral surgery, they had a thing in front of me with a literal metal jack, and I said, "How long is this going to take?" And they said 2 hours. And I said, "Why do you have all this hard equipment over here?" And they said, "Oh, because we can give anesthesia." And I said, "Are you giving me anesthesia?" And they said, "No." And I said, I'm having a 2-hour procedure. I'm like, can I get anesthesia? And they're like, yeah, but it costs money. And I'm like, I'll pay for it.
Here's my credit card.
Yeah. So, no, I don't go in to get my teeth cleaned and go, can you put me under? My mother did work for a guy, though, that specialized in people that were afraid of the dentist. And he would give you a nice drip.
Wow.
Just for a cleaning.
For a cleaning?
Dr. Joseph Nemeth.
It's crazy.
The dentist of Kid Rock and Aretha Franklin.
Oh.
My mother did the PR for him. LCT Communications. My father indulged that charade. That's like when people buy their wives like a store just so they'll shut up. You know?
We've all seen the stores. They have like 7 dresses.
There were
in it.
consignment shops and stuff. Yeah, like all right, honey, just if this gets you out of the house in a way, I'm trying to have an affair here.
Let's move.
If your husband lets you run a shop that just about breaks even, and he paid for it, and there's a lot of I knew the Spanx lady before she was the Spanx lady. Women are overly capable. This is not an insult to women. It's just there is something in wealthy families where sometimes the woman opens something like a consignment store and it breaks about even. I got news for you. That's so your husband can have an affair. All right, go on.
All right, well, we were talking about...
I know it happens a lot.
We were talking about Dak Prescott throwing it all over the field yesterday. The Cowboys actually went on to win. Joe Burrow throwing it even more all over the field yesterday.
Joe, who's thrown 4 touchdown passes to tie his career high, throws a short pass to Chase. Nice blocking on the edge.
Baby.
Jamar to the 40, spinning to the 50. It's a foot race. Jamar to the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown!
You're making it too easy.
Burrow to Chase. Joe Marr does
You
it
make me
again.
work for it. Why are you yelling in ecstasy? Make me work for it.
Burrow 5 touchdown passes, they lose.
30 of 39 for 392 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a pick, and they lose.
I will say this, Wallach. You asked me about playoff teams. Cincinnati will not make the playoffs.
No, 1-4 now, and that was a game they usually win, but the defense is horrible. You were talking about how good Burrow was. Lamar, 348 and 4 scores.
Burrow could not have played a better game.
Yeah.
Burrow was about perfect, and they lost that game. And they were up big in it, too.
That's the thing. The margin for error when you start like this is so thin that you can't afford to waste a performance like that. Burrow's not going to do that again every week.
And by the way, no one was at that game either. And I'll tell you this. How do I know all this? My son had a 6-leg parlay that was one away from hitting. That $10 would have turned into something like $2,000.
Wow.
And he was 1 leg away from it hitting, and one of it was Baltimore covering it, which they did. 2.5 he got.
They did.
You got to let your kids gamble.
Is that part of the handbook?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a $10 bet.
Sure.
Overtime winner.
Justin Tucker from 24 yards to win it. Tucker's kick is up. It is good! And the Ravens have won in overtime in Cincinnati. Overtime is over. The hay's in the barn. And the Ravens have defeated the Bengals in the wildest of ways.
Did
Yeah,
you
it was
see,
pretty wild.
Did you see Tucker's 56-yarder, which started at the goalpost and then curved back in?
Yeah, he's not good anymore.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's sad.
Yeah.
Because Tucker's like a captain and like loved in Baltimore.
What those weird misses at one end of the stadium in Foxborough yesterday?
Yeah.
Like there was no accounting for it. The wind wasn't a factor.
There was no wind yesterday. The flags were not moving.
Just bizarre.
Damn lighthouse.
Because, I'm telling you, it's because the Crafts are sitting there. There's a lot of pressure.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah. He might knock over the scotch.
Let's move on to the Texans. Talk a little C.J. Stroud.
Stroud fakes the toss. He has time in the pocket. He's going to gun it long. And Nico Collins is there at the 15, 10, 5. Rock and roll. Touchdown. H-Town.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Bomb from Stroud to Collins.
Rock and roll. Hoochie coo.
That guy's cool. I like that guy. Rock and roll. Yeah, H-Town.
They like him some C.J. Stroud in Houston. He completed 28 passes for 331 yards, only 1 touchdown and a pick to go with it.
Does anyone else hate Houston just because everyone insists on them? Can we all have Houston not winning anything this year just so people will shut the hell up about Houston?
Well, 4-1, Fred.
Yeah, they're good.
4-1.
I don't care for them. And they had a ton of injuries on defense yesterday and still beat the Bills.
They're the it team.
No, Buffalo was the it team 2 games ago.
Yeah. Houston was the it team before the season started. Then they lost a
Yeah.
game, and everyone hopped off the bandwagon.
Yeah, there's
But
a little
here they
bit.
are. They're 4-1.
You're saying there's a little bit of ebb and flow. Remember when Buffalo was 3-1 or 3-0?
Yeah.
And was Josh Allen the best quarterback in the NFL?
Yes, he
and
was.
Buffalo's the greatest team of all time.
And I was saying how I was wrong that Buffalo is a third-place team. Yeah, that's it. Everything has changed in the last 2 weeks.
Some almost Brissett-like numbers for Josh Allen yesterday. 9 of 30 pass attempts. That's a lot. For 131 yards. Not his fault, though. Coach falling on the sword.
Tough situation. They're holding 3 timeouts. Like I said, they got a good field goal kicker, and you go back and forth. I probably should have run it on the first play and just said, hey, where are we now? Either way, we're probably going to have to move the chains one time, right, to not give them a chance. But again, those are situations, and that's on me.
Yeah, those are situations. Well said.
So the Bills fall to 3-2 on the season. Good news for them. What do they have coming up here? I think they have good
They
news.
have the Jets coming up. They're
Oh,
at New York
no
on
problem.
Monday Night Football.
No
the
problem.
The
No
Jets
problem.
cannot play at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. It's against the law.
Jets, let's see. Jets, Titans, Seahawks, Miami.
Yeah, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, they will be fine.
They'll be fine. But I'll tell you, the Jets better win that game on Monday Night Football, or they're going to be 2-4, and that ain't good. And Salah might start losing that team. And if Salah, I'd fire him mid-season. Kaboom. If I'm the Jets, if they lose that Buffalo game, I'd fire him. I'd fire him right then. Because what else are you going to do?
For losing to Buffalo?
For being 2-4, I'd fire him.
This team is supposed to go a long, long way. This team was mentioned by many as a Super Bowl contender, and you're 2-4.
Okay, because my question is this. You're going to fire him at the end of the season anyway. So you need to do something. You can't get rid of Aaron Rodgers. There's nothing you can do. I don't think – what are you going to bring in Devontae Adams for? That's dumb. Who's not going to play? So there's nothing you can do. I'd fire him. I'd make the defensive coordinator the head coach. And Hackett, I guess I'd have to keep – or Aaron Rodgers will throw a hissy fit so he can throw 3 picks again. If he doesn't have Hackett, he won't throw 3 picks.
All right, let's move out to San Francisco here, Fred, where the
Why you want to move out there?
where the 49ers have a chance to get back above 500 on
They
their
were holding
season.
a full house.
They got a 23-10 halftime lead. Everything looking good.
Snap to Murray, and he's going to keep it running to the right. He's got room at the 45-40. He points to the sky as he takes off at the 30, at the 20, the
That's where
10,
God
the
lives.
5, touchdown. A design run for Kyler Murray.
All right, go back.
It goes for
Play this again. Turn down the music, Adam, if you would. As always, I have good ears. Listen to the falsetto in the background in San Francisco. Go ahead.
Snap to Murray, and he's going to keep it running to the right. He's got room at the 45-40. He points to the sky as he takes off at the 30, at the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown. A design run for...
Woohoo!
Hooray.
Yeah!
Like that?
Yoo-hoo!
It's a bird cage. It's nothing like having headphones on and doing nothing but listening.
Nothing like making antiquated, don't make sense anymore San Francisco jokes that can't even get you in trouble.
That's why they're funny to
Yeah,
me, because they're so stupid. I mean, obviously.
Oh, man, it was ugly in the second half for San Francisco.
Gillikin will hold, snap, or block, and then scoop back the other way and running back the other way. Diamador Lenore, touchdown! San Francisco!
We love it! We love it!
Not ugly. I'm sorry. That was the wrong side of things. My apologies.
Outside of Zolak, is every color guy on the radio the exact same?
I don't know. Lapham in Cincinnati's a different breed.
I don't know.
heard-
They
yeah, we heard
they
that
all
earlier.
sound the same. They all sound exactly the same. Roar, roar, roar. The
Well-
guy from the Steelers is the same way.
Yeah, I believe we're going to get this in the game-winning field goal call here from Arizona.
35-yard field goal try from Chad Ryland. Snap is high. He got it down. The kick is on the way, and the kick is good. And the Cardinals have the lead, 24-23. A minute 37 to go in the game.
Metaphorically speaking, Ryland just crammed it vertical, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Make the kick.
Ron Wolfley, I believe.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Crammed it vertically? Not sure. He said it was metaphorically speaking. Zoe used to refer to him as Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah, they all sound the same. They're all these, like, I guess that there's a recipe. You got to have a guy with a voice to do it.
So Arizona, one of those teams, didn't think a whole lot about them before the start of the season. They matched San Francisco's record now, both 2-3 on the season. Kyler Murray, 19 of 30, 195 yards, touchdown, and a pick.
It's a very exciting time to be in the NFL. Everyone is incredibly mediocre, including the Vikings. They have a very good defense, but that offense.
Maybe the biggest surprise team of the season, though, is one of the teams we'll talk about next.
Oh, all right. Let's do that. We will be right back. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
This, as they say, just in. According to Fox 25, Patriots safety Jabril Peppers arrested early Saturday morning in Braintree. Police say he will be charged with assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, strangulation, and possession of a Class B substance. And that is the reason Jabril Peppers did not play yesterday. More as more details come to us. Patriots lost yesterday to Miami and Foxborough 15-10. They're 1-4. They play Houston this coming weekend. Sports Illustrated's Brett Bray reported yesterday Drake May has made strides over the last 2 weeks against the blitz in practice, and it's very much on the table for him to become the team's starting quarterback within the next month. The Bruins signed Jeremy Swayman to an 8-year, $66 million contract, and the Celtics beat Denver and Abu Dhabi again yesterday, 130-104. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the $14.99 Big Deal Meals at the Nines. 4 new hearty full-size entrees like the roasted turkey dinner, available every Monday through Wednesday for just $14.99. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
This is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And John, going into break, you had breaking news.
Yes, Fox 25 here in Boston. Now other television stations have picked it up, reporting Patriots safety and team captain Jabril Peppers arrested early Saturday morning in Braintree. He'll be in court today to face charges of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, strangulation, and possession of cocaine. Apparently, police were called to a home in Braintree on Saturday to investigate a disturbance. We're just getting details as they roll in here. That's all we have right now.
And he was a captain.
Yes, first-year captain.
Not ideal.
No.
Possession of a Class B substance believed to be cocaine, which is capitalized in the story. I don't know if that is...
Oh, really?
According to the style guide, or if that's something new, but I like it.
Okay.
I'm unfamiliar
Put some respect
with
on that drug.
I'm unfamiliar with Braintree.
There's a mall there. There's a Golfer's Warehouse in Braintree. What else do you need to know?
I don't need to know anything else. And so he was down there in Braintree. This is things are not going well for the Patriots with their veteran core. What is Pepper's contract status?
We are looking that up as we speak, yes.
Because this could turn into be a bit of a problem.
I think he's one of those guys that they locked up before the season started.
That's what I'm trying to see. Is he part of this core that they're trying to put together?
He signed a 3-year deal.
2 years, $9 million?
Yep.
All right, that's not unget-outable.
3 years, 24. Sorry, it was 2 years, 9 before. Now it's 3 years, 24.
All right, 3 years, $24 million.
He's got a $7 million cap hit this year and next. It goes up over 8 in 26 and 27.
Yeah, but I wonder if you cut him, how much of that is guaranteed and how much of that is against the cap.
Dead cap number this year's 13.3. It's $7 million next year. So I guess really, if you wanted to get out, it would be after the following season.
Yeah, none of this is good news, obviously, aside from the crime, which we don't know anything about except for that little outline. So, there's not much to talk about there. It's obviously not good for anyone that was involved in it. It's very bad. The person that was attacked was treated by EMS on the scene, so I would imagine the person's not, did not have they didn't go to the hospital or anything, so I'd imagine that wasn't the issue. So we could just focus on the football matters of it until more information comes out, so we're not just speculating. But this is part of the core that you looked at and you focused on as being, creating a culture, and I think that's a good idea. Draft and develop, then you sprinkle in free agents when you can, make trades when you can, because generally good players don't end up in free agency, especially at key positions, and this is not good news, especially coming out of this Miami game.
This year is to find players that will form the foundation of your franchise for the next 5. And you pick this guy, and who knows if he's guilty of it or not guilty of it, but if he is, that is a massive whiff. A massive whiff by the front office.
Do we know if these are felony charges?
Do not know the answer to that.
All right. Well, look,
Braintree police have announced the arrest, so this is happening. He's going to be in court today.
Well, it went under the radar for a full, 30
2
hours?
days.
Yeah. So, the discretion was there. But now that's not good news. That's not good news. Another one of your captains gone.
All right, let's move on, and we'll continue to go around the NFL with the Washington Commanders. Now, whatever you thought about Jaden Daniels, did you think this?
Here's the snap. Rusher coming off the edge. Daniels has to avoid him. Moves his way. Plenty of grass. 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Out of bounds. What a run by Daniels.
That's the one thing I didn't know that he'd be able to do consistently throughout a few games here. And he can throw the ball.
McCaffrey and Ertz next to each other inside the numbers. McCaffrey chip blocks. Jaden
you can't say that.
towards the outing run. He's got him. Touchdown.
don't care what's coming out. You can't say it like that.
It's okay. I dumped it.
Thank you. That was terrible. I don't know what's going on in Washington where they can get away with that. But Deshaun Watson, by the way, is not good at quarterback. And they asked him afterwards and he doesn't even seem to care. He really doesn't. He's like, whatever the coach wants, I'll do. That's one circumstance when they say, what do you think about losing your job? Where you would like them to go, well, I don't think that's acceptable. I don't, that's the kind of thing is that you don't want him to go, I'm going to do whatever the coach says. I think that you want to say, I'm the starting quarterback of this team, and that's where I need to be.
And Deshaun Watson doesn't impress me as the type of person who might feel some embarrassment or guilt or remorse about taking all that money and the guaranteed money and not being able to play football anymore. No. Instead, he's just, whatever.
You could make an argument that's the worst contract in NFL history. That the Deshaun Watson contract is the worst contract
fully
in the NFL
guaranteed?
history.
Oh, yeah. That's a very easy argument.
Threw for 125 yards yesterday in the 34-13 loss in Washington to the Commanders.
Yeah, like Cleveland Hail Married themselves into the playoffs last year with Joe Flacco, so good for them. But, I mean, this organization is real screwed. And the sad thing is that they're not a bad team. It's just they have no quarterback. I mean, their defense is all right. It should be. It wasn't yesterday.
Meanwhile, the Commanders are 4-1.
Yep.
The 2 seed.
And Jaden Daniels is having a historic rookie year.
Yeah. Are they now? I keep asking this question, but since we're on the topic, real quick, is Washington good? Are they as good as their record indicates they are?
I mean,
Daniels is good.
Well, the Giants are a disaster. They won yesterday, but the Giants are a disaster. Philadelphia is a coaching crisis. Dallas is Dallas. I mean, is Washington? Washington could win the East.
Washington has beaten Cleveland, Cincinnati, and the Giants as part of their 4 wins. The big test is this weekend. They're in Baltimore this weekend. Then we'll find out how good they are.
Cincinnati's not a bad team despite their record. I mean, I still would put Cincinnati as a quality win.
Yeah.
After week 1. The Patriots, I don't give credit
They
for.
did blow out Arizona 42-14, the Commanders did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they could win the East. Why not? Lightning in a bottle, one of those teams. They'll lose in the first round of the playoffs, but they could win the East.
Finally, I want to get to Denver, where the Broncos beat the Raiders yesterday 34-18, but mostly for what Sean Payton had to say about his quarterback after the game.
To characterize the conversation you had with Bo after the miss fired in the end zone from Franklin. And I've seen you have these conversations.
It's part of the deal. Listen, last year, all of a sudden, it's just, there's still a little bit of Ferris Bueller in this player that we got to get rid of. All right, talking about Bo, and I love him to death. And so sometimes it's my love language.
Okay, everyone laughed in the studio show after they played that. I don't get it. Does he spike his hair in the shower?
Yeah, and he sings like crooner songs into the shower massager.
Does he have a bedroom that's adorned with things that everyone's older sister had?
He explained it, meaning like he just kind of does things not the way they're supposed to be done, but everybody loves him anyway, and it's his job to kind of reel him in and say, no, things have to be done a certain way sometimes. Never mind the fact that everybody loves you. The wastoids, the jocks, the nerds, the geeks.
Weebies.
Yeah.
They think you're a righteous dude.
Motorheads. Yeah, everyone thinks you're a righteous dude, but you still have to do things a certain way sometimes.
Do you know who they wanted to play Ferris Bueller, but couldn't do it because he had another commitment, and it ruined his relationship?
Let me guess. Ruined his relationship.
With Hughes.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Not Anthony Michael Hall.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Oh. Wow.
Anthony Michael Hall. It was written for Anthony Michael Hall, and Anthony Michael Hall couldn't do it
because he was doing Johnny Be Good.
Maybe, I don't know. He was, and
Tour de force there.
And he said that strained the relationship between him and John Hughes for many, many years.
Oh.
You know where I heard that? On my feed. Just popped up on the feed.
Tell me I shouldn't be on my phone all day. How else are you going to learn that?
Yeah. How else are we going to learn anything about the Patriots if we don't talk to Bob Sosi? Let's ask him a million questions about Jabril Peppers.
Yeah.
I think that's how I'll start.
How quick can we get Bob uncomfortable?
Yeah, which will be the answer will be right away. Because that's what we'll do. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment.
Patriots safety and team captain Jabril Peppers was arrested Saturday morning in Braintree. He'll be in court today to face charges of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, strangulation, and possession of a Class B substance that police believe to be cocaine. Authorities were called to his home to investigate a disturbance in the early hours of Saturday morning. The Patriots' losing streak is now 4. They lost to Miami yesterday in Foxborough 15-10. Jalen Polk's touchdown catch overturned on replay with 1:08 left. That would have put the Patriots ahead to stay. The Texans are coming to town on this coming Sunday. Houston's 4-1 after a 23-20 win over Buffalo yesterday. Bruins open up the regular season tomorrow night on the road against the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Yesterday, they finally did some business with Jeremy Swayman, signing him to an 8-year, $66 million contract. Celtics beat Denver and Abu Dhabi yesterday, 130-104. Celtics sweep the 2-game exhibition series with the Nuggets. They're back home Saturday night to play Philadelphia. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by South Shore Bank. At Beatles Bank, sharing your success and growing your business is what above and beyond banking is all about. Visit SouthShoreBank.com, member FDIC, member DIF, equal housing lender. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub. On the air, online, on the air. This is how Boston sports fans start their day. Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like, being a captain this year is like the Madden curse at this point. We've lost a lot as far as our captains are concerned. With that being said, I think, guys just have to step up. Guys have to step up, and I know that the players understand that everyone has to take their game to the next level.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Also, let me tell you this. You can watch us on YouTube. There's big, bright lights that are bothering Wallach. He's got diarrhea. You knew I was going to talk.
Honest to God, I'm just never telling you anything ever again. Why
Don't
would you
say
bring
that,
up?
John.
Why would you bring that up?
Because you got diarrhea.
Okay.
So what? Everyone can feel bad for you. Everyone can relate to having diarrhea.
That's just what I'm going for. Okay.
John's got diarrhea.
When you're sliding in the home and your pants are full of foam, diarrhea.
But he's playing through it.
Diarrhea.
And he's being discreet about it. He's going to the bathroom a lot, but he's being rather discreet. I don't know why. Why is that embarrassing to you?
I just don't need to know. I want to know why you needed to bring that up.
I think it's relatable.
Anywhere in the vicinity of talking about anything like
it's
that.
relatable.
Okay.
To people.
Running down to first and your pants about to burst, diarrhea.
Let's get Bob Sosi's opinion.
Bob Sosi, what to do when I'll tell you what you do when you have diarrhea.
Has you ever had that problem while you're calling a game, Bob?
He's the voice of the New England Patriots. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Bob doesn't get diarrhea because his hot takes are powered by Bigelow Tea.
Bigelow Tea stops diarrhea.
Well, let's not make outrageous claims.
Okay.
If you want to know what keeps Bob's voice in peak condition, and John's a play-by-play guy, and even they get diarrhea.
Yep.
It's just hot cup of Bigelow Tea. Hot takes and hot tea. Bigelow Tea, grab a mug and tea proudly. This is just how Phil Simms does it on the Mad Dog Show.
So, Bob, what do I do?
When he shoehorns that Bigelow Tea read in.
Bob, what do I do? I'm in intestinal distress.
John, the first thing you do is you don't tell Fred about your intestinal
I know,
distress.
no kidding.
I wanted to know what was doing with him getting up all the time.
I would have offered you my banana earlier.
Oh, that would have been very nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know. You didn't tell me. Why would you tell Fred and not tell me?
We were walking in the hall, Hardy. Don't feel upset. It's nothing about you.
John, I keep a lot of your secrets. Don't you worry. Those are staying tight.
So, banana, Bob, is that what I should have had?
I think a banana certainly would help. I certainly wouldn't dissuade you from taking some Bigelow Tea as well. I don't know if it's going to be a cure or prevents it, but it can't hurt.
Can it act as a suppository?
The tea bag?
Yeah.
Fred, why don't you try that? You experiment with that, and you let me know.
Bob, have you ever had a Bigelow Tea enema?
No, I have not.
No.
But, perhaps if I'm in
Coffee
John's
enemas.
predicament someday in the broadcast booth, I'll give it a shot.
All right, very good. We wondered
Because
how
you don't
long
want
it
a
would-
suppository. It's just gonna create. More
Well, we
issues.
don't know until we try. All right.
So, Bob, Braintree, very close to Milton. I can only assume that you were at the home in question on Saturday. What happened?
Oh, Hardy. Let's talk about John's GI issues, can't we?
I gave you a break, Bob. We could have came in hot with the breaking news about Jabril Peppers. If you don't know, this is for the audience. I know you don't know anything. This is for the audience, so they know what we're talking about. According to Braintree Police, Jabril Peppers will be in court today after he was arrested late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, to a disturbance at a home. The caller who called in the disturbance indicated that there was an altercation between two people. Peppers is being charged with assault and battery, strangulation, and possession of Class B substance believed to be cocaine. The victim was treated by EMS at the scene. Peppers is a captain of your New England Patriots who extended him.
Also, Gerard Mayo, just to bring that up, Gerard Mayo is scheduled to meet the media, I believe, at 9:30.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, he's not going to be able to say anything, but yes, at 9:30. Maybe we should take Mayo at 9:30. I bet you we should.
Yeah.
We'll bail out of it quick, but let's take a little bit of Mayo at 9:30. All right. What do you think, Bob? You think we should take Mayo at 9:30? Or do you think that's a audience? You turn the audience off.
I think you should take Mayo at 9:30 and see how it goes, and at least stay with him through a few minutes to see if it is something worth hearing for the audience. He can certainly talk to it more than I can.
No, we're not.
I know is what I'm reading.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything, Bob. I'm not going to make you say anything about it. I'm going to move on right now. As a matter of fact,
yes.
I mean, it's breaking news. I just had to when John brought it up or Hardy brought it up. I just had to say what was going on. All right, and we're not joking about it or anything. It's a very serious issue. I'm not being sarcastic.
Yeah, absolutely, it is.
All right, so here we go, Bob. Let's go. We're moving on now. You can loosen up. We're going to move on. John has diarrhea. We're back on that.
Yeah, we'll have fun talking about the Patriots game yesterday because you and Zoe sounded like you were having an absolute fun fest.
So I listened to a lot of it. I did. I listened to a lot of it and I'll tell you this, Bob, this is the ultimate credit to you and Scott. I had the opportunity to have it on TV and I chose to listen to you and watch the Texans game because I was enjoying your call so much. You guys were the mouthpiece for the audience. Both of you were disgusted by what was happening on both sides of the ball, by both teams.
Yeah, it was bad football. I mean, here we are. It's not a preseason game. It's not week 1 or week 2. It's week 5 of the season. And granted, both teams are beat up. But what we saw yesterday was, and I used the term after the ground ball snap on a field goal try for Miami following a false start as they lined up to try to kick that field goal 5 yards closer to the uprights. It was a comedy of errors, or as Zoe said, the Keystone Cops. The penalties, the mistakes, bad snap. In that case, bad snap over the quarterback's head when he wasn't expecting it. Miami continuing to have its issues with its illegal motion penalties. They've had 8 or 9 of them in the last 3 games. The Patriots' difficulties offensively, initially the first series to protect Brissett, and then as the game went along, just to get any semblance of offense, any kind of a series going, let alone a drive, really until it was desperation time at the end.
Can I ask you this? And it just occurred to me, but I have been thinking. It didn't occur to me. It just occurred to me to ask someone that's smarter than me this. Why is Miami so bad now? Right? Like Tua's not Brady. Like you lost your quarterback. Okay, you're playing. It's not like some undrafted rookie. You're playing a guy with NFL experience. Why are they so bad?
Yeah, because I don't think it's just the quarterback position for them. Really seems to be a collective issue for the Dolphins. They have a lot of quote-unquote stars. They had 8 players in the NFL top 100, and a good number of those players were on the field yesterday for them. Now, granted, they've gone through now 3 defensive coordinators in 2 seasons plus 5 games, so they haven't had continuity on that side of the ball, but there's still talent there. You lose Xavier Howard, who's one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and you replace him with Jalen Ramsey. The run defense is still poor, which we could get into perhaps if we talk about the Patriots' offensive approach to yesterday. You look at their offense, they're so reliant on getting the ball in the hands of those key guys, Hill and Waddle, in space on short throws. You would think that, a serviceable quarterback, even though he's only practiced with them for 8 practices, 3 weeks, like Holly, he's been in the NFL. He's made 11 starts now in the National Football League, especially given what we've heard over the years about the Shanahan system, and especially given the reputation of Mike McDaniels being this kind of offensive innovator genius. And you would think that you could at least plug this guy in to run the offense at least competently at this point now, 2 starts, 3 weeks of practice, and at least to distribute the ball well enough to get it in the hands of those guys. And then they have, talented running backs. Achane got hurt yesterday. I know Mostert has been hurt, but Wright, the rookie, looks good. So to me, I can't understand why they're so bad in all 3 phases. The special teams yesterday too was a mess for them, and they've got some good players in that phase as well.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this. I've asked everyone, and I'm not going to get off of it because the logic doesn't make sense to me. All right, so May's not playing. I understand why, right? Mac Jones. Okay, good. That's one reason. All right, so, but there's this talk about the one thing that could cost the locker room is if the team believes that May's better than Brissett. Why is Brissett playing? That doesn't give us the best chance to win. I'm out there risking my own injury, and they're not playing May. And also, if Brissett is part of the reason you're playing so poorly, why is May your backup quarterback? Tyquan Thornton, you guys mentioned it a bunch of times. Scott said it a bunch of times during the game yesterday. Tyquan Thornton played one down. Mm-hmm. Why are you not holding 4 quarterbacks? I don't get why you're comfortable May coming into a game that he hasn't prepared a week for, as a starting quarterback. But why are you not? If you want to put him in a certain kind of position, why don't you have a guy that can come in for Brissett if he's struggling, if he gets hurt? The logic doesn't follow for me, Bob.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past, and I was on board with you, and I was a bit surprised that they let Zappe go, for example, and we talked about this in either the first or second week, considering that there was this great reluctance to put Drake May, into a game, and you're going into the season wanting to delay, or at least you have this plan for him in terms of his development, and you're going forward with Brissett as your clear number 1. But as you mentioned at the time when we talked about it, you're 1 play away from Drake May being your quarterback. Now I think it's a different case. You're heading into week 6, and I think we're past that point. I think we've reached the point where if it's not this week, then it's the following week versus Jacksonville, where they have to get Drake May ready to start a game. And I think that, I heard your conversation with Mike Reese. I think it makes a lot of sense what they're, if this is the approach they're taking, why yesterday, for example, they moved Uwenu back to guard, and why, now with Kendrick Bourne in the lineup, maybe they're settling into more of a rotation of receivers, and the 5 guys, or at least, having Uwenu where he's best, and then trying to get together some cohesiveness with a 5-man offensive line to have those guys at least in place, to have this framework built around Drake May when you do get him ready for that first start. So I think we're closing in on that point, and therefore I think your question, which I think was absolutely valid, and again, one that I had myself coming out of training camp, I think that was more applicable to the first few weeks. Now where they are, it to me right now, that doesn't make maybe the most logical sense for them, because they have to get May ready to play, whether it's this week or next.
Yeah, I think about this thing that Zoe said years ago, Bob. I think about it a lot in terms of a quarterback and evaluating their starts, and how you can't do it on a week, and how you need really like 3 weeks to see how they adapt to, getting the install, knowing that they're the guy and all this stuff. I wonder if they're trying to do some elongated or some kind of different process where they're going to start giving him more first team reps, so that first start for him doesn't have the feeling of a first start. He's actually got a little bit more under his belt, and he's doing more prep than anyone would as a backup to make that first start easier.
Yeah, and Hardy, I think they've already done that to some degree, because they've allowed him to take, according to Gerard Mayo a couple of weeks ago, 30% of the snaps in practices with the number 1 unit, in addition to the work he's gotten with the scout team. And that's an extraordinarily high number for a backup quarterback in this league, particularly if the starter isn't hurt. Usually maybe you get 5% of the snaps as the backup guy. In this case, again, May has been getting a lot more of those snaps. So it seems like that's the approach they've been taking. And, yesterday I heard Phil Perry on our pregame show talk about it, that it's a matter of time before Drake May becomes the starter. And perhaps the plan all along has been, and I hope I'm remembering Phil's words correctly, his report correctly, just shorten that period of time where you expose him. But I think that it's coming sooner rather than later. I want to say that I really respect Brissett. I mean, I think everybody does, the toughness and all that. And I thought the first couple of weeks, and really, you could say the first few weeks, I think he did what they needed him to do for the most part. But, you look at that last play, for example, yesterday. I mean, you have to know with that time available, and a guy's been in the league for 9 years, and whether it was set in his headset or not, and it should have been before that snap, he can't complete a pass over the middle of the field. You're out of timeouts.
Yeah, right.
The ball's got to get to the end zone, or it's got to go to the sideline. And that's a last gasp, but that's the kind of thing, along with some of the other things that we've seen the last couple of weeks, where you didn't expect those things to happen with a guy with his experience. Those are the reasons why I think he was the quarterback coming into this season, is that he wasn't expected to make those kinds of mistakes.
Yeah, it's just finally, because we got to let you go, I'm sure much to your relief after the beginning of the conversation.
And John's relief, too, because I would assume a break is coming up.
I got to go to the bathroom, Bob. Let's get this done.
Jimmy Norton ends every show with that. So, I mean,
I got to go to the bathroom and let's get this done?
Yes. I swear to God. Yes. You're in good company.
Oh, sweet. All right.
Just about every show. All right. So, but if what yesterday, that offense leads them to go, oh, now's the time to play Drake May, because everything's coming together.
The mental mistakes on both sides of the football, the play calling by Alex Van Pelt, they're not ready to have this kid start.
It doesn't. I mean, both you and Mike said that, and you guys know way more than me. Just logically, it doesn't make any sense to me. But whatever. I mean, it is what it is.
Fred. I think. I can't argue with that. I'm just trying to look at it from their point of view. Certainly, there's so much that has to be cleaned up. And, you could talk about the injuries, and I certainly have. And you can talk about the lack of talent to begin the season with, the thinness of the roster to begin the season with. But, I still believe that Gerard Mayo, he's only 5 games in. He's got a lot to learn. He's going to learn. But I think it's fair to question, whether it's the concepts, the play calling, all the above, the lack of discipline that we've seen. Their best games were their first 2 games from that standpoint. Even though there were breakdowns against Seattle, you're supposed to improve in those areas as the season goes along. And so, I think all of it right now is open to question.
All right. Well, Bob Sosi, good stuff as always. Great job. I did listen to a lot of the game because I was enjoying you guys so much. And, I mean, it was on a TV, but I didn't have the sound on. I was enjoying you guys. And that's the greatest compliment you can receive. Not me, but just people saying they'd rather listen than watch. All right, Bob, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bob.
Right, there you go. The great Bob Sosi. They were having some fun yesterday. They made it entertaining. They didn't fall over themselves at the last drive of the game either. Like they when the Patriots were moving the ball, they were very realistic about the chances, the decisions that were being made with no timeout.
This is where you earn your money. If you can get people to listen to this team at any given time, you're really, really good.
Well, they weren't propaganda for the team, which I enjoyed.
It's all you want.
Yeah, indeed. All right, we'll play. Do you think we can get the Mayo Conference, Adam? You know how to do that?
I have it. I have it. They're going to go on YouTube Live here. It says at 9:30, so I'll have that ready to go. Do you want to come back with a little bit of email and then go into that? Or?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, buddy.
All right.
Good job, Adam. 12.
Hey, no, thanks to Ryan. He's the one who helped me get it set up. So
Ryan, you found the Joe Murray audio on Friday, and now you're coming up with this?
He's on a tear.
Ryan's on a little bit of a tear. Give him a Buckeye. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
All right, we'll have some of the Mayo press conference in lieu of the quarterback decision, also in lieu of what happened to Jabril Peppers.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at this first email.
No, I know. All right, so you can email JON at 985thesportshub.com, Hardy at 985thesportshub.com, or Toucher at 985thesportshub.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Toucher and Hardy, and you can follow me on Instagram. I'm so close, John. I'm tantalizingly close.
How close are we now?
The last time I checked, I was like 5 followers away.
From 24K or 25K?
I know, 24, it's not as impressive. I don't think I'll ever get to 25, to be honest with you.
No, you see, you say that in the hopes that people will take pity on you and start following. That's
a good instinct, but it's not. It's not true. I don't believe by saying that I'm going to get 1,000. I would have to create content that people outside of the show like. Something that went viral, and the chances of that happening now that I'm not mixing alcohol and Ambien are very, very slim.
I see.
All right. Okay. What were you laughing at? Can you read it?
Yeah, I think this one's okay to read.
Okay.
Good morning. I love hearing you guys find enjoyment in John's discomfort, but I was wondering what constitutes diarrhea in birds. So a quick Google search answered some questions and opened new ones. Does he have an itchy or runny beak? He might have psittacosis. Is he losing weight, regurgitating his cheese sticks and ranch? He could have an avian gastric yeast infection.
Oh, boy.
Either way, diarrhea is very serious in birds. John, you need to immediately fly to your vet's office after the show. Take care, Matt.
All right, so 2 things. One, the cheese and ranch is a very real thing that John used to do every morning. He would dip cheese sticks in ranch. And it's the only time I've ever said, please don't eat that to anyone.
That was the first year of the show.
I'm like, stop eating that in here. It's so disgusting. Yeah. Like this early in the morning, it's so disgusting. And second of all, I was at that dog park. I gave in and took my dog to the dog park yesterday, and he was running with the big dogs. He twisted his leg, and then that you might as well have just like shot a gun like 5 times in the air. Everyone came a running, and he was like limping a little bit. And everyone was telling me what to do, which was nothing.
That's always fun.
And a guy said, do you have dog ibuprofen? And I'm like, no.
I just happened to carry it along with
me. I'm like, no. And then he goes, oh, yeah, I forget what it's called. And he pulls out his phone out of a chest knapsack.
Oh, Jesus.
And begins typing in the information. And I was with my daughter, and I'm like, okay, thanks. Like, 5 minutes after that and left.
Okay.
Carprofen.
Yeah, thank you. No, I don't have it.
Not me neither.
A retired cop named Patrick, so I'm really whittling it down there. Put it in and I appreciate it. Okay, Mayo's live. Let's go to the Mayo press conference.
Weeks after a game, the next day when we talked to you, you've reiterated that Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback. Today, you didn't go there, and I know you said you haven't watched the film. Do you feel like there's potential for a change?
I've watched the film. I just haven't watched some of the other things. I watched the offensive and the defensive film for sure. I try to get the special teams. So what I would say is, I think I've been pretty consistent, and my messaging is that every single week every single day we're all being evaluated, and it's no different now. That's kind of how I see it.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, turn on your cameras before asking your question if you can. Just it helps in so Coach can see you as you ask the question. We'll go Mark Daniels, followed by Dakota Rain.
Hey, Gerard. Good morning. When you meet with your coaches today, do you anticipate talking about the potential of starting Drake May and making a change at quarterback?
When I meet with the coaches today, it's about, we're in a solution-driven business and we aren't playing good football. And so we have to look at every single unit and every single player and figure out how we use this roster to go out there and win games.
Dakota Randall, followed by Mike Reese.
Hey, Gerard. While understanding the struggles of the offense aren't on just one person, is making a change at offensive play caller during the season something you'd ever consider?
That's not under consideration.
Next question, Mike Reese.
Gerard, how would you evaluate Jacoby's performance yesterday?
It just wasn't good enough. I thought we played well enough defensively and on special teams to win the football game. And look, as the quarterback, and he understands this, he touches the ball on every single play, and we didn't win the game or score enough points to win the game. And I think he would echo that same sentiment, that it wasn't good enough.
We'll go Doug Hyde, followed by Chris Ryan, and we'll keep it with just one question, and then we'll come back to you. If you have follow-up questions, just raise your hand again. We'll try to get to everybody.
Hi, Gerard. On the Jabril Peppers situation, have you heard anything from the NFL about potentially putting him on the commissioner's exempt list?
We informed the NFL, and we're still gathering information. I know the team put out a statement earlier today, so I'm not sure how the league and how we are going to handle that going forward, but we should find out some more information over the next few days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Ryan, followed by Sophie Weller.
Morning, Gerard. Hope all is well with you. On the quarterback situation, seeing what Bo Nix is doing and what Williams and obviously Jaden Daniels is doing, does that in any way make you inclined to kind of see what Drake can do, and particularly that they struggled a little bit early on and then have transitioned into being effective in the league?
I watched those guys on film. I would say each situation is unique, and so is our situation. And I think you hit it on the head. Those guys, it was a little bumpy at first, Jaden Daniels aside, but those guys are playing at a high level. And so it's natural for fans and for the media to say, well, we have, a good quarterback waiting in the wings as well. But at the same time, our mentality is, look, how do we develop him? How do we get the guys on the field around him to develop and move forward from there?
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Sophie Weller, followed by Duke Castiglione.
Hi, Gerard. I was just curious, having Jabril and Kyle out, how do you feel like your safety group with Dell, Jalen, and Marte stepped up?
No more.
Given that
we've reached safety conversation where I draw the line. So we heard about Jabril Peppers. They knew about it. They informed the league. He didn't play, and that's all you're going to get today. And then we found out that they were not going to fire Alex Van Pelt. I like to question. They've not considered it. And then, obviously, they're not going to dismiss playing Drake May at this time. So that's what Gerard Mayo had to say. And but when it gets to safeties, that's when it's time to pull out. You guys agree?
I agree. Yeah, no, I would have quit earlier.
Game strong.
That was fine.
You would have quit it earlier?
Yeah.
I thought the questions were legit.
No, the questions were legit. I was waiting for, Peppers is the story this morning. And once we found out that we weren't going to get anything, and the first 4 or 5 people tried to attack the Brissett situation from 4 or 5 different angles, and he really wasn't giving anything up on that either. The Alex Van Pelt thing was unexpected, but I understand it was a good question to ask.
Because, again, you got to shake something up.
Yeah.
If things are going real sideways and this offense is this inept, 10 points a game inept, like you're really struggling to score points, and you have a guy that's working with Drake May, that's what you got to do, is you got to get rid of Van Pelt. That's the only move that you can do. You're not going to make your roster better. You're not going to get rid of Mayo.
I keep coming back to that sequence at the end of the game where the Patriots ran the football successfully, got the ball down the field, got the ball to the red zone, then threw the ball 4 times. It's almost as if Alex Van Pelt is trying to justify his existence by being creative when he doesn't have to be creative. This team has such a narrow path to walk to win a game, let alone multiple games. You go with what works until the other team proves they can stop it.
Well, and then,
I don't understand any of this.
He'd counter with what we took what the defense was giving us, and they were loaded up against the run. I have no doubt about that. And then I would say, okay, well, you can't pass, and your 2 longest plays outside of garbage time were runs. So...
Or use motion for a jet sweep. Do something. You see other teams do that. How often?
Or use, as Mike Reese said, use play action. At least incorporate the the threat of the run.
A misdirection, reverse to a wide receiver, get the man in motion, get Pop Douglas to take a handoff as he runs past the formation.
Not talking about working miracles or doing things that your personnel isn't necessarily capable of. You're just talking about doing things that the rest of the league does, and for the most part has some success doing, certainly more success than you're having with the offense.
Don't have to hand the ball off in the middle of the line. We tried that on the Patriots tried that on 4th down last week, and it didn't work.
All right, Miami the last 3 games has given up 31, 24, and 31 points. And so 31 points, by the way, to the Titans with Will Levis, the great Will Levis at quarterback.
Yeah, they got blown out. They got scored 12 that day.
Yeah, so your defense played fine. I mean, they were undisciplined, but they played fine. I mean, again, like what Hardy said, we're not naive. Like, I don't think you're going to go out and put up, even 21 points in a game. But you're against a pretty bad team that was playing pretty bad. And you would think that just committing to run and play and playing off of play action that you would have. I mean, if you're only going to score 10 points against Miami, you're just never going to be competitive in a game again. That's just what's going to happen.
Which leads me back to what I was saying at the beginning of the show. I think it is very much in play that this team doesn't win another game the rest of the season.
I do too, but and that wouldn't even be a disaster so much as that you got to keep the locker room and you got to be at least going in the right direction.
This team has, and we've seen other teams go into this tailspin, other really bad teams go into this tailspin before. You don't play well. You have a bunch of injuries to keep people. Stuff happens off the field. We've seen it happen to a lot of teams in the past. And as Patriots fans and media members who follow the Patriots, who look at those organizations, say, what a crap organization that is. Look at what is happening to them. This stuff like this happens to bad teams. Well, congratulations. You're one of those teams. You're a bad team. And you have injuries all over the place. And now one of your team captains just got arrested. That's what happens to bad organizations.
I wonder, it's like almost penance for talking down to the Jets for so many years. As now the Jets have sitting solid with one more win than you.
And looked awesome yesterday. Looked great.
They hung in. That defense looked very good.
At least they didn't hand the team over to that guy. That would be really bad if they handed the team over to Aaron Rodgers.
If they get Devontae Adams, I got news for you. They've sold their soul because they don't need him. A 32-year-old, 31-year-old guy with a hamstring problem. Please? Some idiot on ESPN was like, give him Riddick, the guy they can't sign, or whatever his name is. Reddick. They can't sign. A second-rounder in a, what do you call it, with the pick that it's based on performance. Whatever. Conditional pick. Oh, yeah. That'll do it? Oh, okay. Yeah, just go give him a second-round pick for an old guy who's hurt.
They knew when they made the trade that he wanted a new contract.
Yeah. Well, that's a different story. But I'm talking about the whole getting Devontae Adams thing. Like, all right, yeah, go ahead. Just give up everything for a hurt guy, a little hurt guy who's old. Just make the team ancient so you can lose. Stupids. See, did I make you feel better?
Way better.
I root for a team that at least had expectations.
That's right.
And they're failing those. And I can tell you, it's worse. It's worse than what you're going through. You expected this.
That's true.
Got a big old kicker that can't make a 50-yard field goal to beat stupid Denver. Hachi-machi. Everyone's making 62-yard kicks yesterday. That was at least a really bad special teams, too. All right, whatever. We'll be back. It's sponsored. We'll be doing the stack.
Sports Hub. possibly have missed from the show. It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. The Stack is brought to you by D'Angelo Grilled Sandwiches, freshly grilled, freakishly good. The D'Angelo Classic Steak and Cheese, savory steak and melty American cheese piled high on golden brown bread. Devour one today. We're also brought to you by FanDuel's Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. They often joke around that Jim Louth is the biggest Patriots fan in the history of Patriots fans. Jim Louth, who is here, you hear him at halftime of the broadcast. He is over there at the stadium.
The man has a throwback John Hanna jersey in
Yeah,
his closet.
Who's been in studio with us before. He had a presence about him. Jim Louth, you came in here, and with the Peppers arrest and the way they played, this is reminding you of something.
Yeah, welcome to my childhood.
This is it all over.
This is my childhood as a Patriots fan. I wasn't a Patriots fan of, like, Brady era. I was a Patriots fan of, like, Mark Wilson, Tom Ramsey, Tommy Hodson, those guys. When you went to the stadium and everybody hated the quarterback and everybody wanted a quarterback change and there was off-the-field issues. And, yeah, this is my childhood. So I went to all the younger guys in the back, and I was like, if you were wondering what it was like when I was a kid, this is my childhood as a Patriots fan.
And you,
great crowd, by the way, yesterday. Crowd was ready to go. Crowd was ready to pop, right? The crowd was great at the end, but like 2 snaps in, they were booing. It was the roller coaster emotion of the crowd, but they're still there. They had a lot of tailgaters yesterday. That it reminded me of what it was like in like 1990.
All right, so they have the Pat Patriot uniforms you were talking about. They'll be wearing those. Do you think you'll start freaking out? Do you think you'll have like hallucinations? What is that going to bring you too far back?
They need to bring them back. No, but it brings it full circle with all the stuff that's going on.
Okay, so here's my question. How long before despair sets in? And maybe you can't answer that because, you know, you were born into the despair for the most part. I mean, you didn't have a lot to cheer for early on. Right now, there's still that element of excitement at the start of the game and excitement at the end. After a while, even that doesn't exist.
Oh, no, it stays. I mean, for the fair weather fans, yeah. But if you're like a diehard Patriot, you go into every game thinking they have a chance to win. If you're going to the game, especially the home games, like, because you know, I mean, Zoe talked about it on the broadcast. Listen, they need a touchdown here. When do you think do they go to the kid? Like, did May give them the best chance to get I mean, I don't know. When May gets in there, that first sign of hope will change everything.
You know, when I was a kid, the Lions were on TV, and a young Chuck Long from Iowa took the Iowa Hawkeyes to the Rose Bowl. Chuck Long, first-round pick, I believe, by the Detroit Lions, came in, first drive, threw a touchdown. I taped it on the Betamax. I said, I'll have Chuck Long's touchdown. I'll go back and look at this. It might have been his only touchdown. The great Chuck Long.
No, but Hugh Millen gave us hope. Zoe gave us a lot of hope because they were like 0-10 when they went into that game and he won. I mean, Zoe gave us a lot of hope that year.
If only he would have carried on the field.
That's 1992, right?
Yeah, that's my childhood.
Yeah.
And then Bledsoe came in his first preseason game, and you saw him throw the ball on the sidelines, warm up. Like, oh, this is different.
Yeah,
that's an arm. Like that's an NFL quarterback arm. No offense.
How many losses until it's just an excuse to drink at 10 in the morning?
Well, I think that's the excuse for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know, but at least it's a heavy ticket.
I mean, I do this with Providence College games. That my friends and I go out to Providence. We have season tickets to the Providence College basketball games. It's like pre-planned, like adult hanging out,
right?
Because we have schedules. The people that go to the games, it's like, okay, this is pre-planned. This is my day. I'm going out and having a good time.
And if you're wondering how he gets to Providence, it's because he lives there, further south than Providence, Jim. Do you not?
Yeah, I live in Warwick, yeah.
He lives over by T.F. Green Airport.
How long does it take you to get here?
Today, hour 35.
How many miles is it?
60.
It's a 120-mile round trip. Wow, big deal. You know?
Yeah, it's not bad.
The real question is, Jim, did you buy your son Jabril Peppers' jersey to start the season? Because your son's jerseys have been a jinx.
No, but my father bought him didn't buy it yet, gave him the money to buy a Drake May jersey for his birthday. He still has not purchased it yet.
Because he knows he's a jinx.
He's waiting.
Does he have a Mac Jones jersey?
Oh, yeah.
Why doesn't he just put May over Jones? Well, you're throwing good money after bad. You know what I'm saying?
He could. Actually, it's funny because a memory on Facebook popped up from 12 years ago of him as a baby laying in a crib with a Gronk jersey on. And I think he might have broke his arm that week.
Boy, you got to do something about that son of yours.
Jesus, Jim.
If he got a Peppers jersey, what would it have on it? It would have a
C.
Yeah,
Captain C.
because you were saying Mayo brought back captains.
Yeah, and now that's all over every news story of him getting arrested is that C on the jersey saying he's the captain of the team. That's not a great look.
This is how much this bothers Jim, is that Jim has gone through the exercise of going, well, now we're just going to be disgraced because it's the C's going to be on there. You're a big fan.
Yeah.
I know. It's great. All right.
I'm silently fist bumping right behind Zoe in the booth during
All right.
the games.
Okay, you're excused. You can leave.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks,
Thank
Jim.
you, Jim. Good job. There you go. The great Jim Lapp.
I don't like to see Jim in pain.
He's truly in pain.
Yes.
Yeah. And also very nervous we were going to somehow Shanghai him. Get him in trouble.
Have to get to this in the stack here. Ryan posted this for us a little while ago. 7:45 a.m. Bill Belichick's 20-year-old girlfriend just posted a picture of him with a Taylor Swift shirt on Instagram.
All right, let me see.
All right.
Let's see what's doing the girl.
There's one thing about this photo you're really going to love.
What, his Navy hat?
Yes.
That his false honor?
He's wearing the USS Nantucket hat.
All right. So if I told you it was someone's great-great-grandfather with their, I mean, the idea, the Freud, I wish Freud was alive so he could just really dive into that whole thing. I know why Belichick's doing it. But then why would you let her take selfies of you and stuff? Like, it's just, I know that they share their love of philosophy. And I know that they met because she had her philosophy textbook and they were talking about philosophy and the great minds.
Logic.
And that's why he's banging her like that. It's because of their love of philosophy. Not because he found someone that was attractive in that age that would have sex with him.
I'm a nice man.
It was their love of philosophy, Hardy, that did it. Not that she's an attractive 24-year-old girl and he's an old man.
He's not going to do it. You're fine.
No, I'm not doing. No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to
Gonna
screw
do it.
over sales. That's not my objective. I don't need that. I don't need that part of it to have it be funny to me.
It's enough to have the textbook and the hat in this photo.
When I read that story, because just him banging the 24-year-old isn't that funny to me, but the excuse, oh, you don't know how well they hit it off. They both loved philosophy so much. Get out of here with your dumb Navy hat. Join the military, stupid. All right, that'll